Hello folks, and listen, I don't typically like to do this, but most channels already do, so I figure I might as well start. If you enjoy the content that we deliver here at Speed Station and you want to try helping out, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment if you want. All of this helps our channel grow tremendously, especially with the metrics. And I can't put to words how grateful I am for the support that we already receive. It's kept us going this long, and it will keep us going well into the future. And if you're really feeling generous, we have an active Patreon and PayPal donation page up if you would like to give this channel a monetary boost, which would be tremendously appreciated, and continue to further our efforts into the future. One more thing. If you think that I'm just sitting around during the time in between the videos here on Speed Station, you couldn't be more wrong. Join the Discord. All these links, by the way, are in the description. Check out behind-the-scenes activity and get a better idea of what I'm working on during day-to-day operations on our Discord server. Get to talk directly with me as well, because I'm always active on that thing. That's how I spend my time in between. So, just to reiterate, we tremendously appreciate the amount of support that we've gotten already. And we'd like to see this channel continue to grow and be able to deliver even better content into the future. Anyways, let's get into the actual video here, since I've wasted enough of your time already.
It's the most powerful show on television. High drama, with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
Welcome back to Post Tech. Today we move on to episode number 23, following a remarkable conclusion to the NASCAR Cup Series regular season in the Coke Zero Sugar 400 out at Daytona International Speedway. Michael McDowell for Front Row Motorsports took home his second career Cup Series victory, taking a clutch playoff spot along with it. And that's exactly why NASCAR schedules the Coke Zero Sugar 400 as the final race of the regular season, so we can see these clutch playoff spots be taken. It's happened the last 2 years. Actually, it's happened all 3 years that the regular season finale has been held at Daytona. Tyler Reddick 2019, Eric Almirola last year, and Michael McDowell this year. Also, for the first time as an owner, Bob Jenkins' team has visited Victory Lane with both their cars in the same season. Alfredo at Sonoma, McDowell at Daytona. And now we've got a whole lot of Camping World Truck Series action to cover today, because we're going to be going over the entirety of the round of 16, those being the races at Darlington, Rockingham Speedway, and Bristol Motor Speedway. So I'll get through the news and recap information a little bit quickly so we can get on to the first 3 races of the Truck Series playoffs. First, let's recap a little bit more of the action from the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Saturday night marked the end of Harrison Burton's bid for a playoff spot. He won at Pocono earlier this season, but couldn't quite clinch a top 30 position in regular season points following Daytona after getting caught up in a crash. Tyler Ankrum, the driver of the number 26 car, he's been signed over to Hendrick next season, by the way. That's already been announced. He was noticeably upset with Harrison Burton following the race at Daytona and attempted to confront him following the end of both of their races, as obviously they got wound up in a crash off turn 2 and the races ended early. Here's just a quote from Tyler Ankrum during his drive back to pit road following that accident. That's why he's not going to make the expletive playoffs, because he does dumb expletive all the time. Unexpletive believable. It is unlikely that these frustrations between Ankrum and Harrison Burton carries over to Darlington Raceway, but those two have raced each other quite a bit this season, so it's not outside the realm of possibility that those two could find each other over the course of the final 10 races of this Cup Series season. Speaking of controversy, after the checkered flag flew, it was JTG Daugherty Racing versus Chase Elliott in the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Elliott got a huge run coming back to the checkered flag and made a 4-wide move, making contact all the way to the start-finish line with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., beating the number 47 car to the start-finish line by mere 10 thousandths of a second. Needless to say, Stenhouse was not too happy about how Chase Elliott raced him. They traded multiple bumps after the finish until they got down to turn number 3, where Stenhouse turned straight down into Chase Elliott's right side and drove them into the grass. But inside of Chase Elliott was Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s teammate, Eric Jones, in the 37 car. Jones didn't know the full scope of what was occurring and assumed that Elliott himself was picking a battle with Jones. All this led to a 3-way pit road confrontation between the JTG Daugherty teammates and Chase Elliott, while Michael McDowell was celebrating his second career victory on the front straightaway. Officials were able to break up the argument between the three before it got too physical. The worst action that we saw was Eric Jones giving Chase Elliott a bit of a shove, physically, not, with their race cars. Here's some excerpts of what Stenhouse and Elliott had to say. Here's a quote from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on Elliott. "He just door slams me in the middle of the tri-oval and completely killed our momentum. I guess I didn't realize that one spot on track is worth nearly wrecking someone for, but he took a cheap shot. He'll get one right back. You can bet that." And now from Chase Elliott's perspective, and I'm sure you know from his previous confrontations that he tries to stay about as nonchalant as physically possible during these arguments. But here's what Elliott had to say. "I just got a huge push from behind, and I didn't want to wreck the 47. I guess he thought that he was relevant again or something. But whatever, we'll move on to Darlington and hopefully go get a win there." NASCAR did penalize Elliott, Jones, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. $5,000 each for their conduct following the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona. However, Elliott and Stenhouse have been commonly racing each other on track these last few weeks, and I'd honestly expect that arrangement to continue for the final 10-race stretch this year. Remember, these JTG teammates have nothing to lose, especially Stenhouse, who knows he'll be out of the ride for next season, potentially not even in NASCAR overall. A lot of rumors been pointing to him starting up a sprint car program to run that full-time, much like what we've seen of Casey Kane as of late. While Chase Elliott, by the way, is running for a championship in the Cup Series with 2 wins on the season. It's going to make for a very interesting dynamic between those 3 drivers during this season's playoffs, because we got Stenhouse knowing that he might not even be NASCAR racing next season, Eric Jones, who did not make the playoffs this season, all essentially ganging up on the number 9 team of Chase Elliott. It's going to be something to certainly watch over these next 10 races. Now on to a little bit of driver news. We have some information on Ty Dillon's current contract situation, because we all know that him running the 31 truck at Germain Racing was just signed up for a 1-year deal. Ty has been getting a lot of attention from names such as Germain Racing, who he already runs for, RCR, and GMS Racing for a Cup Series program in 2022, being considered for a full-time ride. However, Ty Dillon has been adamant that he will run the Truck Series as long as it takes for him to win a championship. Ty is an ARCA titleist, but he has yet to claim a NASCAR National Series championship after coming so close about 10 years ago in the Truck Series. As you recall, that all kind of fell apart at Homestead when a very young Kyle Larson made a bit too aggressive of a move into turn number 3. It all kind of fell apart for Ty Dillon's chances at a championship. Ty Dillon will likely take a full-time Cup Series deal if he does close out the 2021 Camping World Truck Series Championship. However, if he comes up short, he will return to the series next year, going after the title once again. Regardless of any of these factors, Ty Dillon will get at least 5 more starts in the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season for Germain Racing, likely running the Coca-Cola 600 and the 4 Super Speedway races. I would expect Casey Mears also to return to the team next year, at least for the Super Speedways, if they opt out of running him for the full season. But going off of how Mears has ran this year, I'd say they'd want him to at least continue for majority schedule in the number 60 truck next year if they can put together all the pieces to get the sponsorship. Now a very big announcement. Ryan Preece, currently a part-time Cup Series driver, he has been signed by Kyle Busch Motorsports to compete full-time in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for the full 2022 season, replacing John Hunter Nemechek in the number 4 truck. Nemechek has had an overall dismal season this year. Frankly, so is the rest of KBM. They only have 1 win with one of their full-time drivers, Ty Gibbs at Talladega. And No offense to Gibbs there, but really anyone can win a race at Talladega. He's shown off in the Xfinity and ARCA Racing Series, but not so much in the trucks this year. He's just been consistent. Kyle Busch has been searching for his very own Matt Crafton or Ron Hornaday-style driver who he can depend on staying in the series and with his team so they can build the team up with them. KBM almost consistently loses their drivers to either other teams or higher divisions, so having a driver that they can work with on a long-term basis will be extremely beneficial to that team, building up a program with one person that they can establish a relationship with for once, because every year it seems like they have a whole new cast of characters at that race team. KBM originally hoped that John Hunter Nemechek would bring them the stability that they had wanted. However, Nemechek this season missed the playoffs, got a big suspension after an intentional crash at the Milwaukee Mile with Carson Hocevar, and currently resides 18th in points. Preece has been working with Trackhouse Racing part-time in the NASCAR Cup Series this season and has mentioned numerous times that he'll race in any series that he can get race-winning equipment in. So getting a Truck Series deal with Kyle Busch Motorsports appears to be his best-case scenario. Now, you may be wondering, where will John Hunter Nemechek end up next season? Most of the rumors are pointing to him getting the number 8 truck at Nemco Motorsports once again. That would make obviously the most sense. Timothy Peters has been showing off an awful lot in their number 87 truck. Pairing John Hunter with Timothy Peters, you'll get youth and experience on the same team. Continuing under the Ford banner, I think it would be a very smart move for the organization because it looks like John Hunter isn't exactly a top free agent right now after having a pretty dismal Truck Series season in some of the best equipment in the series. Logan Misaraka, by the way, has been in conversations with Larson Gilland Racing, a fellow Ford team, about potentially getting a part-time deal next season. Her current deal with Lira Motorsports has somewhat fallen below expectations due to financial issues with the team itself. They had an incredible showing at Daytona back in February, leading multiple laps and tugging the field along in the draft. The team decided to try and make the trip out west to try and potentially even run for full-time if they could get the sponsorship needed. However, they suffered DNQs at both Auto Club Speedway and Texas World Speedway and opted to redirect their focus to running just the super speedways at Daytona and Talladega. Unfortunately, they missed the spring Talladega race and fall Daytona races. With only one more race attempt left for Lira Motorsports scheduled at Talladega Superspeedway in the upcoming months, and Misaraka working directly with Ford Performance after a strong showing back in February, we certainly could expect her to run for Larson and Gilland by Speed Weeks next year. It's a situation you're going to have to keep your eyes on. We will be able to break the news once we get it. Even knowing this stuff is also pretty far out from now, here's some news about the Bank of America Roval 400 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It currently is forecasted with a 70% chance of rain on that Sunday. Similar situation for the NASCAR Xfinity Series and IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series races there. No thunderstorms are expected in the forecast, so expect rain racing, much like what we saw at Palm Beach International Raceway earlier in the season, race number 2. Keep in mind that Friday night when the truckers take on the dirt track at Charlotte, the forecast appears to be clean and green for racing, so no issues with dirt track racing in the Camping World Truck Series. Because IMSA and NASCAR are running at the same track on the same weekend, there are a few drivers who either have rides or are looking for rides to make the double dip, running the IMSA race and the NASCAR Cup Series event. Those names include Nick Tandy, who's currently talking to Trackhouse Racing to get a run in the Bank of America Roval 400, Jordan Taylor, who is trying to work out a deal with GMS Racing for their second car, Catherine Legg, who already has signed a deal with Rick Ware Racing for the race, Cody Ware, who will run for Rick Ware Racing in both Cup and IMSA, Joey Hand, who is as well going to run for Rick Ware Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series event, Kevin Magnuson as well. He's working out a deal with Chip Ganassi Racing for the Cup Series event. Jack Hawksworth is obviously already signed up to drive Levine Family Racing's second car, the number 5 car, and Chase Elliott, who's trying to work out a deal to drive one of the Corvette GTLMs that weekend, obviously alongside his number 9 Napa Chevrolet. Expect an extremely stacked field at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, which is just another added element, by the way, of surprise for the playoff contenders, because the more competitive entries that there are, the more difficult that qualifying becomes, making the 40-car starting field. Not to mention that the forecast calls for rain, so it's almost certainly going to be must-watch entertainment down in Charlotte, watching the drivers try to tackle rain racing for only the second time in the Cup Series level, twice this season, but for the first time in the playoffs as well. So you have all that added tension, and it's an elimination race of the round of 12 along with it. Also, a little bit more track news. Portland International Raceway is in serious talks with NASCAR about securing a Cup Series date for the 2022 schedule. We do not have too many details on those conversations, however. NASCAR has been working on breaking into the Northwest market for years now, and a top-quality track such as PIR is likely to be their greatest opportunity. Now, the playoff battle in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is about to begin. 26 races of regular season action all came to an end with a battle to the start-finish line between Ty Dillon and Sam Mayer, with Dillon besting Mayer for the victory at Daytona International Speedway. Grant Enfinger beating out his teammate Matt Crafton for the regular season championship along with it. The top 16 championship contenders are set, now just 10 races left to decide the champion at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So, folks, I'm sure you're very excited to see how this playoff field fares through the first round. So, without further ado, here are the highlights of the round of 16 races in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series: the South Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Darlington Raceway, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Rockingham Speedway, and the UNOH 200 from Bristol Motor Speedway. In the race analysis, the South Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Darlington Raceway will take place over the course of 147 laps around this egg-shaped oval here in Darlington, South Carolina, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 45 and stage 2 coming to its end on lap number 90. Remember that at a track such as Darlington, both driver finesse and tire strategy are almost of equal importance, because you need a driver that is capable of keeping their set of tires underneath them over the course of a whole run. It's a very challenging racetrack that will most likely favor the veterans that we have in this field, such as David Reagan and Greg Biffle. But because the playoffs are upon us, remember that it is win and you're in for the 16 competitors that are chasing the championship. If you take home the victory here tonight in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200, you do not need to worry about Rockingham nor Bristol. And those are two racetracks that you really don't want to have to worry about dropping in a hole in points there, especially Bristol, where you can get wound up in somebody else's mistake. And one more note, we've been talking about this for quite a while. This is the first race of the new regulations on the Ford F-150 front-end body stylization. That means that they are allowed to flare out the left and right front fenders just a little bit more than they were previously over the full regular season, giving them more front-end downforce and hopefully nullifying the disadvantage that they were at downforce racetracks. And that's what most of the Ford teams blamed on for all their struggles this season. Obviously, with the exception of Timothy Peters being the only Ford team that found some success over the course of the year. However, that mainly had to do with a lot of the seas parting in the final few green-white checkers at Memphis, with a lot of trucks running out of gas. So keep your eyes on the Ford F-150s here tonight, as this is their first test in race conditions of this new front-end stylization. Darlington Raceway also put a new patch in between turns 1 and 2, an entire strip of new asphalt on the racetrack to make up for some of the massive amount of bumps that we had from some of the previous individual patches, and also some problems they had with weepers down in turn number 2. So any problems that your truck has with either pushing or being too loose, all those problems are going to go away on the exit of turn number 2 because of that new asphalt. Regardless of your handling condition on your truck, it's going to get a lot easier to make that corner, especially with this race being ran at night. Now, if it was being ran in the heat of the day, a lot of the oil from that new pavement would be getting cooked out, and you would start to run on a very slick top layer of some of the oil coming out of the asphalt. That would go away over the course of a run, but this being a night race, we're not going to have that problem. So expect a lot of grip to come into your race truck from the center of turns 1 and 2 all the way out to the exit on that new strip of asphalt that's been nicknamed the Patch. And here are your point standings following the reseeding of all the competitors to begin this 10-race playoff, in particular the round of 16. Grant Enfinger comes into this round, obviously as the point leader, being the regular season champion. Second in regular season points was Matt Crafton. He comes into this round 5 points out of the point lead. Then Ben Rhodes, because of his amount of victories combined with the amount of playoff points that he got for his regular season points finish, he now moves up to third, making it a Thor Sport top 3 sweep once again in the point standings. Ben Rhodes comes into this round 8 points out of the point lead. Christian Eckes and Sheldon Creed are both 12 points out of the lead. Ty Dillon 14 points out. Stuart Friesen and Austin Hill share 15 points out. Timothy Peters 16 points out of the lead. Ty Gibbs, 18 points out of the point lead. Then Mears, Poole, Cram, Truex, and Kligerman are all 20 points out of the point lead. And finally, Brett Holmes, the defending ARCA Menard Series champion, sets 24 points out of the point lead. And in the starting lineup for the South Carolina Education Lottery 200 here from Darlington, Christian Eckes has scored the pole in the number 12 Coca-Cola Chevrolet Silverado. The second place qualifier is the 2000 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion, Greg Biffle, making yet another start in the number 51 for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Then we have Max McLaughlin starting from third spot, Stuart Friesen in fourth, Brennan Poole in fifth position, Sam Mayer sixth, Mason Mingus running his first race for Rackley WAR after Michael Self got released following Daytona. He qualifies in seventh position in his first time out. Then we have John Hunter Nemechek, who barely missed out on a playoff spot. He qualified in eighth position. Austin Wayne Self with a great ninth place starting spot, and Johnny Sauter rounding out the top 10. Other notable starters include Todd Gilliland in 11th, the 53 truck of Cameron Haley in 13th spot, Haley Deegan starting from 14th with that new Ford F-150, Timmy Hill in his very own number 56 truck starting in 16th position, the 44 of TJ Bell in 17th spot, the 88 of Matt Crafton in 19th, the 2 of Sheldon Creed in 23rd position, the number 17 of David Reagan starting down in 25th, the 41 of Dawson Cram in 26th spot, the 31 of Ty Dillon in 29th, the 3 truck of Brandon McReynolds in 31st spot, the 99 of Ben Rhodes in 32nd, the 5 truck of Dalton Sargent in 35th position, the number 45 truck of Brett Moffitt once again making a start for Nice Motorsports. He starts down in 38th spot. The 15 of Tanner Gray starts down in 39th. The 03 of Danny Bones starts from 40th. Regular season champion Enfinger starts all the way down in 41st position, and the 09 of Stephen Parsons rounds out the field in 42nd. The list of drivers who have DNQ'd include the number 6 of Nick Sanchez, who attempted to make his Camping World Truck Series debut with the new Truck Series team Rev Racing. You may know them from the ARCA Menards East Series. An unfortunate story there for Rev Racing to miss their first attempt, but then again, you have a driver new to the Truck Series trying to make a start at Darlington. This is a racetrack that heavily favors experience, so they will try again at Rockingham next weekend. The 8 truck of Camden Murphy missed the field, as well as the 11 of Spencer Davis. The 19 of Derek Krause once again missed the field. The 24 of Raphael Lassard missed it. And the 46 of Chandler Smith for Kyle Busch Motorsports rounds out the trucks that failed to make the show. And at the drop of the green flag of the South Carolina Education Lottery 200, the playoffs were underway. The number 12 truck of Christian Eckes dove down to turn number 1 side by side with the 2000 Series champion of Greg Biffle and got the advantage as the 25 truck of Mason Mingus went from 7th to 4th through the first 2 corners all the way down on the apron. Eckes cleared the number 51 truck down the back straightaway, with the 61 of Max McLaughlin taking up second. As you can see, the field using up every inch of the racing surface through turns 3 and 4. And Christian Eckes will lead lap number 1. Max McLaughlin now to second. By lap number 3, 3-time Camping World Truck Series champion and playoff contender Matt Crafton had driven his way from 19th starting position all the way up into 8th spot. On lap 4, title contender Stuart Friesen gets pushed wide by Matt Crafton, messes up his entry to turn number 1, and he gets up against the outside wall and rides the wall from turns 1 all the way through turn 2 and gets right off the wall when the grip increases on the patch area. At the end of lap number 4, the 61 truck of McLaughlin got a great run off of turn number 4, got to the inside of the 12 truck of Eckes, and took away the race lead through turns 1 and 2 on lap 5. On lap number 5, we had a bit of a strange accident between the teammates at LGR of Tanner Gray, Haley Deegan, and also the 55 of Majeski and the 87 of Timothy Peters. Watch this. They make a 4-wide move into turn 3. Majeski makes contact with Peters, sending the 55 truck up the racetrack. Majeski then makes contact with the 15, and just watch this right here. They squeeze into the wall, and the LGR teammates of Gray and Deegan both go upside down, with the one truck coming to rest on its roof, sliding down the apron. Tanner Gray's truck almost rolled on top of the 55 truck as well, but turned over back onto his wheels, and the 98, the regular season champion, got damage in this as well. And here's the accident in real time. You can see the 55 and 87 squeeze up into each other. 55 carries the two LGR trucks into the outside wall, and they both turn over. Fortunately, no injuries in this accident. They obviously had to turn over the number one truck of Haley Deegan back onto all four wheels, but she was as well uninjured in this big wreck down in turn number 3. Both the number 15 and number 1 trucks of Deegan and Gray were out of the race following this accident. The 55 and 98 trucks were able to continue. Lap number 7, we had a split in pit strategy with some of the front-running trucks coming down pit road, including the top two runners of McLaughlin and Eckes. Farther back, we also had Biffle and Poole coming down, with your new top 3 following the trucks that stayed out, being the 14 of Sam Mayer assuming the race lead, 22 of Austin Wayne Self in second, and 25 of Mason Mingus assuming the third spot. Early tire strategy taking place here at Darlington Raceway among some of the front runners opting to come down. On the second lap under the caution, believe it or not, we had a couple more takers, including 2 playoff runners. We had Zane Smith, Ty Gibbs, and Austin Hill down, with Gibbs and Hill both being title contenders. And on the restart, the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self actually got a great jump on the 14 of Sam Mayer, made the move down through turns 1 and 2, and Austin Wayne Self took away the race lead here in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. On lap number 13, Matt Crafton almost wound up in an accident. He's being put 3 wide by TJ Bell in the middle and Ty Dillon on the bottom. Crafton tries to turn in almost as if there's no one on his inside. Well, the 44 truck is there. They make contact not once, but twice. Matt Crafton does an incredible job at saving that truck, and TJ Bell does a good job at lifting off the throttle pedal. And fortunately, they all make it through turns 1 and 2, but both Crafton and Todd Gilland tag the outside wall off turn 2 in the mess. And you know, Austin Wayne Self had done a great job at holding off the field for about 12 laps at Darlington Raceway. That is until lap 22, when Mayer got an incredible run through turns 3 and 4, as Austin Wayne Self made a bit of a mistake, allowing Sam Mayer to clear him off the final corner and take away the race lead back to lap 23. Ty Gibbs actually had to make an unscheduled pit stop for a loose lug nut, and he has dropped 1 lap behind the race leader. He now runs 1 lap down in 40th position on lap 23. We also have several playoff contenders beyond Ty Gibbs who are running outside the top 30, such as Brendan Poole, Dawson Cram, Austin Hill, and the damaged number 98 of Grant Enfinger, already in somewhat of a hole, even though he comes into this race with the biggest point margin above the cutoff line, being the regular season champion. By lap 31, playoff contender Brett Holmes had driven his way all the way up to second and was challenging Sam Mayer, who got loose off of turn number 2. Holmes tried to send it in up on the outside line and try and clear the 14 truck off of turn 4, but he slams the outside wall in the center of 3 and 4, allowing Mayer to gap the 23 truck once again. Mayer not running for a championship in this series, but currently holds the lead at Darlington above 2 playoff contenders of Brett Holmes and Ty Dillon. But a good run so far for Jesse Little, running in 4th, and Austin Wayne Self in 5th. On lap 35, David Reagan made an incredibly aggressive move down in turn number 1 on Brandon McReynolds, pinched him all the way down to the apron, almost made contact with him, almost sucking that 3 truck around. That would have ended up wrecking Reagan as well, but he made the move on the outside line and took up the 10th position in the 17 truck for Larson Gilliland Racing. That very same lap, Ty Dillon made a great run through turns 3 and 4 to take up the 2nd position off of fellow playoff contender Brett Holmes. Lap 38, you can see the slow number 98 truck of Grant Enfinger running the inside line of the racetrack. He gets put 1 lap down by race leader Sam Mayer. On lap number 40, the very damaged number 55 truck of Ty Majeski was trying to run at pace with some of the lead lap trucks, overstepped it, got up into the outside wall through turns 1 and 2, and that much damage that he got off the wall pushed that 55 truck over the edge. They actually came down pit road and parked it for the day. Majeski now out of the race. On lap 43 with Sam Mayer running away from the field with a 3-second gap above second place. It turned to a battle between Ty Dillon and Brett Holmes. Dillon sent it in a little bit too hard, jumped the cushion and got up into the outside wall, allowing Brett Holmes to take away the second position as Dillon almost falls outside of the top 10. Down to turn number 1 though. Mason Mingus made a run on the 23 truck of Brett Holmes, couldn't quite make the move in turn 1 and got cleared off of turn number 2 as the 25 truck got loose on the inside of the track. And the 31 of Ty Dillon hit the outside wall once again off the second turn. And Sam Mayer in that number 14 truck for Tony Stewart Racing had lost about 1 second to his overall gap. Now back to the 23 truck of Brett Holmes, but it's still a 2-second advantage. Rolling through turns 3 and 4, Sam Mayer onto the front stretch will take home the stage number 1 victory in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. Brett Holmes running in second position. 25 of Mason Mingus in third, Jesse Little in fourth, and Todd Gilland rounding out your top 5. On lap 48, the stage number 1 winner of Sam Mayer led the entire lead lap field down pit road, with Mayer winning the race out of the pits above the 23 of Brett Holmes and the 25 of Mason Mingus. And take a look at all the trouble that the 87 truck of Timothy Peters had on pit road, obviously sporting that Camping World paint scheme because he was a winner of one of the Triple Truck Challenge races at Memphis. You see, watch the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes. He's checking up to get into his pit stall. He turns too soon, makes contact with the 87 of Peters into the 3 truck of McReynolds. Then Peters gets hit by the 40 of Will Rogers. Peters then gets back going, tries to get back into his stall, and then the 92 is there as well. So he makes contact with 3 different trucks trying to get down pit road, and the right side damage is actually initially from getting a Darlington stripe through turns 3 and 4. And the contact on pit road between the 99 and 87 trucks of Rhodes and Peters was so significant on the number 99 truck that the time spent repairing that truck actually made them lose 1 lap. So Ben Rhodes is going to go back to green flag racing, a lap behind the race leader of Sam Mayer. Tough position to be in as a playoff contender. And it begins stage number 2 here in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. Watch that green number 97 of Jesse Little. Restarted the race in 4th position, makes the move down on the inside to get around Mason Mingus as there's a pass for the lead being made by Brett Holmes. Holmes takes the spot away from the 14 of Sam Mayer. But watch this run. The 97 truck gets down to turn 3, makes it almost 3 wide into the 3rd turn. Jesse Little has position down on the apron on the 23 truck of Brett Holmes, and Little goes from 4th to 1st. The first lap after the restart. And then you have the 75 of Mark Kligerman down on the inside. Kligerman started this race in 34th position. And by lap 53, he has made his way all the way up to 4th running position. A great pickup for the 75 team, really contending for those playoff running positions. Lap 53, 2 playoff contenders follow each other up into the outside wall. It's the 16 of Austin Hill and the 30 of Brendan Poole, both getting pretty significant right side damage. Also looks like the 52 of Friesen caught the wall as well. Also through 3 and 4 on lap 53, the 17 truck of David Reagan went from 4th position all the way to 2nd, getting around Brett Holmes and Sam Mayer. Lap 57, David Reagan gets a great run through turns 3 and 4 on the 97 of Jesse Little, makes the move down on the bottom and on the apron with his left side tires, and beats the 97 to the start-finish line. David Reagan is now the race leader here at Darlington Raceway, showing off that new Ford front end, and the downforce parameters on that truck could potentially be helping out that LGR F-150 to downforce tracks such as Darlington. On lap 58, Timothy Peters ends up getting boxed in a difficult situation coming off turn 2. He tries to make the look to the inside of the 12 truck of Christian Eckes, but he is not clear of the 44 of TJ Bell on the inside. So once again, much like Crafton earlier, the 87 truck tries to clear himself of the 44. Bell is there. He makes contact with him twice, but fortunately for Peters, he catches that 87 coming off of turn 2 without bringing out a caution flag. Lap 59, we had a battle for the race lead. The 23 truck of Brett Holmes went to the inside the 17 of David Reagan, but Reagan pinched him down on exit of turn 2 and cleared him coming off the corner. Lap 63, Austin Wayne Selford sliced and diced his way from 7th all the way up to 2nd, making this great move through turns 3 and 4, taking up the 2nd position off the 23 of Brett Holmes. Lap 64, the two of Sheldon Creed and 88 of Matt Crafton were racing with each other on track once again. That's not uncommon, but they almost wound up in trouble together as Creed oversteps his entry to turn number 3, gets up into the outside wall, and almost takes the 88 of Crafton with him. So Creed has already earned his Darlington stripe early. Lap 67, John Hunter Nemechek pulls a move on the 22 of Austin Wayne Self, much like what we saw between the 17 and 3 trucks earlier. Nemechek pinches the 22 all the way down, almost on the apron, nearly sucks the 22 truck around, and makes the move for second position work up on the outside line of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. John Hunter Nemechek, now your second place runner, behind David Reagan, who's extended that race lead out to almost 4 seconds. It didn't take long, though, for John Hunter Nemechek to drop down to third. He got a little bit too aggressive on the throttle coming off turn 4, caught the outside wall. The 23 truck was ready to pounce. Brett Holmes made the move down in turn number 1 and made his move up into second position with Nemechek holding third. By lap 70, there was a gaggle of trucks running for track position from third all the way down to 10th. Austin Wayne Self back to Greg Biffle. 3 wide moves were being made. They were rubbing off each other. And eventually, the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self had managed to gap this group by just a little bit, but you can just see how intense it got with the 97 right there running it in on the top of the track. The 14 of Sam Mayer trying to take advantage of that. Little almost up into the outside wall. He got the 60 trying to make moves. Greg Biffle in the 51. Nearly contact right there between the 14 and 60. 3 wide move being made once again. Now Kligerman forcing his way into the madness. 97 trying to force the 42 down the racetrack. 97 backs off just a little bit coming off the corner, and that allows the 22 to shoot away from this pack of trucks. The 99 truck of Ben Rhodes has also just been put a second lap down behind race leader David Reagan. The caution flag waves on lap 72 as the 40 truck of Will Rogers blows an engine down the back straightaway. Lap 72, every single lead lap truck comes down pit road with the exception of one. The race leader, David Reagan, opts to stay out. Very interesting strategy right there by this number 17 team. However, on the second lap under caution, the 17 of David Reagan opts to come down pit road, so that means he's going to lose all of his track position. Makes you wonder if he might have missed the pit road turn-in. And so following all of the pit road madness, your top 3 runners are now the 23 of Brett Holmes, 22 of Austin Wayne Self, and the 14 of Sam Mayer. And so we had a relatively tame restart in comparison to some of the others we've had already tonight, with the exception of the 38 of Todd Gilliland, who restarted down in 5th position and made the move through turns 1 and 2 to take up 3rd. Also on lap 76, playoff contender Christian Eckes made slight contact with the outside wall through turns 3 and 4, as well as a little bit more significant contact on the playoff contender of Casey Mears. And on lap 78, Matt Crafton overcharges turn number 1 and makes pretty significant right side contact up with the outside wall right in front of the 12 truck of Christian Eckes, who pretty much just got done hitting the wall himself. On lap 79, Todd Gilliland was continuing to show off some of the added speed that these Ford trucks have on downforce tracks. Following NASCAR's change of body regulations, he gets the run through turns 3 and 4. On the 23 truck of Brett Holmes, as it looked like the 3 of McReynolds was up against the outside wall, with Todd Gilliland now taking away the race lead down into turn number 1 as the 23 lets him have the position. This racetrack is a little narrow to try and make at least efficient time running side by side. On lap number 82, Parker Kligerman, the playoff contender in the 75 for Henderson Motorsports, found himself in a very risky situation. The 14 of Sam Mayer goes off a little bit too hard into turn number 3, makes contact with the wall, but the 75 truck cannot slow down in time, makes some contact with the rear bumper. The 14 almost gets by him, but almost gets turned around and makes pretty significant contact with that right front fender up into the outside wall, and obviously loses all of his momentum down the front straightaway. Trouble for Kligerman on lap 83. On lap 83, we have a hard crash down to turn number 1 with the 30 of Brennan Poole. He makes the turn in to the first turn a little bit too soon, clips the right rear quarter panel of the 44 of TJ Bell, turns Bell up into the 4 truck of John Hunter Nemechek. All 3 of them go up into the outside wall. Hard hits for the 44 and 4 trucks, but just a 3 truck accident entering turn number 1 here at Darlington. Lap 84, we have yet another pit strategy split with most of the race leaders staying on the racetrack, including drivers such as Gilliland, Hocevar, and Little. However, some of the trucks coming down include Brett Holmes, Max McLaughlin, the 87 of Timothy Peters, 88 of Matt Crafton, 60 of Casey Mears, and 75 of Parker Kligerman, along with a few others. Lap 86, race leader Todd Gilliland comes down pit road for an unscheduled stop. He says over the radio the brake pedal started to go soft. Brake issues on the 38 of Todd Gilliland. That's going to drop him out of the lead, and he may just lose a lap or two trying to get this repaired, if possible. And so your new top three here at Darlington Raceway has the 42 of Carson Hocevar out front, 97 of Jesse Little running second, Austin Wayne Self in third, and also some honorable mentions running in the top five, including Dalton Sargent and Brandon McReynolds. Pretty much all upsets running in the top five positions. And so watch this on the restart. This is around the tail end of the field. You have the lap truck of Grant Enfinger a little bit off the pace on the restart, bottles up the field. The 61 of Max McLaughlin's trying to make a move. He tries to cut down to the inside, but obviously he has trucks on the inside. There's the 38 of Todd Gilliland. He's now one lap down. The 61 makes contact with the 98. They slide up into the outside wall, and the 61 goes for a slide off of turn number 2 right in front of the 88 of Matt Crafton. Look at Mears slide off of the second turn. This does not cause a caution flag, but it was very close to starting a big accident off the second turn. With 2 laps to go in stage number 2, the 45 truck of Brent Moffitt made the move on the inside, the 97 of Jesse Little, making it a Nice Motorsports 1-2 currently at Darlington. And a good restart was all that Carson Hocevar needed to take home the stage number 2 victory. He had a bit of a challenge from his teammate Brett Moffitt up on the outside line, but that was not going to be enough. Hocevar through turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway will take home the stage number 2 victory here in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. Hocevar wins stage number 2 in a very dramatic finish of the stage. Teammate Brett Moffitt second, Austin Wayne Self third, Ryan Truex fourth, and Jesse Little rounding out your top 5. Lap 91, we have a slight split in pit strategy. Most of the leaders, such as Hocevar, Moffitt, and the rest of the top 6 or so, opt to stay out. However, Greg Biffle, Timmy Hill, Johnny Sutter, Dalton Sargent, Stuart Friesen, and a couple of others opt to come down pit road for fresh rubber. Lap 93, the 41 truck of Dawson Cram, the playoff contender, makes an unscheduled stop as well. He is reporting brake fade on that 41 truck. So brakes have been a problem here at Darlington tonight on Gilliland and Cram's trucks. He used quite a bit of brake at this racetrack, especially for your run down to turn 3. It was a pretty tame restart at Darlington with the exception of the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self, clobbering the outside wall through turns 1 and 2 on lap 96, allowing quite a few trucks, mainly playoff contenders, to slip by on the inside, such as Gibbs, who is a lap down from far earlier in the race. Eckes and Peters making their way to the bottom. On lap 97, Brad Keselowski Racing's Austin Theriault made his way from third to second, getting around Jesse Little, then had the run on the 42 of Hocevar, entering turn number 3. Through 3 and 4, the 92 truck of Austin Theriault is now the race leader here in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. Brett Moffitt now to second spot as well. And it did not take Moffitt very long to make his move either. Through 3 and 4 on lap 98, Moffitt hooks that inside painted line with his left side tires, takes away the top spot coming off of turn number 4 with his teammate back up to second once again. Lap 100, Mason Mingus makes contact with the outside wall, and the 92 was running so high up the racetrack that even when he tried to turn down to miss the 25 truck, they still traded paint on the exit of turn 4. By lap 103, Parker Kligerman had made his way up to 5th position, but he overdrives turn number 3 and makes contact up into the outside wall and loses a couple spots in the process. Lap 107, Jesse Little had taken up the second spot once again, but almost immediately down to turn number 3, overdrives his corner entry and makes pretty significant contact up into the outside wall. Hocevar retakes second spot. We still have a Nice Motorsports 1-2. By lap 111, the 45 truck of Brett Moffitt now holds a more than 5-second advantage above his teammate Carson Hocevar in the 42 truck. And take a look at this on lap 113 through turns 1 and 2. The 56 truck of Timmy Hill slows up quite a bit into the first turn, got a little bit loose. You have Sargent up on the outside trying to make the move around the 56. The 23 of Brett Holmes and the 99 all trying to fit into the same area. They actually go 4 wide off of turn number 2. 5 truck gets squeezed up into the outside wall, but they actually make it through there without starting an accident. 4 wide at Darlington. Lap 115, we have yet another playoff contender overstep the boundary into turn number 1, this time being Casey Mears, and he rides the turn 1 and 2 wall through pretty much the entire set of corners. After a bit of a long green flag run, on lap 121, we had some contact between a lead lap contender, that being the 4th place runner of Carson Hocevar, and the lap down truck of Ty Gibbs. Gibbs turns in just a little bit too soon on the 42 truck of Hocevar, clips him in the right rear, and they get sent up very hard up into the outside wall. Not intentional on Ty Gibbs' part, but still a very big hit, and then Truex has nowhere to go. Ryan Truex makes very significant front-end to front-end contact with the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs, sending both Gibbs and Truex out of the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. Remember that both of them are contending for a playoff position. And here's the accident in real time, just so you can see how big some of these impacts were. Running at about 140 miles an hour, straight up into the outside wall. And then Truex had almost no time to slow down, and a huge impact into the front end of both the 18 and 33 trucks. And this caution is exactly what Brett Moffitt did not want to see, as he held a almost 11-second gap above the number 92 truck of Austin Terrio, who had taken up second. On lap 124, pretty much the entirety of the field comes down pit road for what should be their final pit stop of the day, but with a few notable exceptions. Greg Biffle stayed on the racetrack, so did Dalton Sargent and the 44 of TJ Bell. And by the way, TJ is pretty significantly damaged from an earlier crash with Brendan Poole and John Hunter Nemechek. So the 51, 5, and 44 trucks will now compose your top 3, and also the lap truck of Dawson Cram opted to stay out as well in the 41. So he will start up in front of those who have just come down pit road. Top 3 trucks out of the pits were Moffitt, Terrio, and Matt Crafton. We had an incredible restart on lap 126 with all the differing tire strategies and a lap truck out in front. Watch the number 5 of Dalton Sargent, and also farther back there's more 3 wide moves being made. Terrio and Kligerman on the bottom, but Sargent makes a 3 wide move on the bottom of the racetrack, coming off of turn number 2 to take away the race lead. Gets around the 51 of Greg Biffle, but here comes the 75 of Parker Kligerman. 3 wide to the bottom. Through turns 3 and 4, gets the run on the 5 truck who is running on old rubber, and Kligerman takes away the race lead on lap 127. He restarted all the way down in 7th position, and in 1.366 miles, he drove his way all the way to the top spot. Kligerman now in position to advance to the round of 12. Christian Eckes also makes the move down on the inside to take up the 2nd position. The 87 of Peters follows suit to take 3rd. We had quite a few upsets running up in front about 20 or so laps ago, but now the entire top 3 is playoff eligible. The cream is rising to the top here in the late stages of the South Carolina Education Lottery 200. And on lap 129, Brett Moffitt was furious with the number 51 truck of Greg Biffle over the radio, because as you recall, Moffitt had a more than 10.5 second gap above the field before this restart. He got stuck in line behind the 51 truck of Biffle, who's on old tires, and is now dropped actually outside the top 20 already. On lap 130, the 25 truck of Mason Mingus overdrives turn number 1, makes contact with the outside wall, and loses quite a bit of track position with this mistake. Also at the end of lap 130, the 17 truck of David Reagan made his way around the 87 of Timothy Peters to take up the 3rd spot. On lap 131, the 56 truck of Timmy Hill enters turn number 1 and has a left rear tire going down, abruptly has to slow down just to keep that 56 truck from spinning, but debris off the 56 truck brings out the caution flag. So you can obviously tell that the 17 truck of David Reagan has taken over the 2nd place spot, but 7 out of the top 10 are playoff contenders. You can see all those blue banners running up front. Any of those drivers, if they score the victory here tonight, will not have to worry about Rockingham or Bristol because they will already have advanced to the round of 12 if they can steal this victory. On lap 137, David Reagan gets a perfect restart up through the gears on the number 75 of Parker Kligerman. He makes the look early down into turn number 1. David Reagan takes away the race lead off the second corner here at Darlington and is being challenged by the 16 of Austin Hill on the bottom. Through turns 3 and 4, Hill wrapped the middle line of the racetrack very well, got up side by side with the 17, side drafted him a little bit, tugged that 17 truck back for a run down to turn 1, and Austin Hill takes away the race lead into the first turn with 10 laps to go, trying to advance to the round of 12. On lap 139, we have a 4-man battle for second position between Kligerman, Eckes, Friesen, and David Reagan. Friesen makes a 3-wide move on the bottom of the track, moves up to third spot and gets the run on the 75 of Kligerman down the front straightaway. And this is perfect news for the 16 of Austin Hill. These four, all intensely battling for second spot, has already allowed Austin Hill to gap the field by 1 second in the closing laps here at Darlington. On lap 141, though, the 17 of David Reagan made a great run through turns 3 and 4, got to the bottom of the new second-place runner of Stuart Friesen, drag raced him back down to the start-finish line, and the 17 truck has now taken up second once again with his sights set on the 16 of Austin Hill with just 5 laps to go. Hill has a 1-second advantage above the 17 of David Reagan. Lap 144, playoff contender Sheldon Creed ends up getting up in trouble through 3 and 4 once again. Drives off into the corner a little bit too deep and makes significant contact with the outside wall, almost collecting his teammate, Brett Holmes. By lap 145, the 17 truck of David Reagan has closed the gap to less than half a second. But coming off of turn number 2, Austin Hill gets boxed in by the lap truck of Carson Hocevar on the inside. Hill tries to make the move to the bottom of the racetrack. He brings the 17 of David Reagan with him. And now the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen has started to gain time on these two front runners. 2 laps to go here at Darlington. The 17 truck makes the look down to the bottom. David Reagan going to try and make the move work. They are now side by side for the top spot with less than 2 laps to go. Reagan going to try and slide up on the exit of 2, and he does it. David Reagan now out front. 52 truck of Stuart Friesen is into the picture. Friesen going to try and dive it in to turns 3 and 4 to try and take up second. Couldn't quite do it as his truck pushed coming off the corner. The 16 truck now getting a run as the white flag is out. David Reagan has just 1 lap to go to try and claim his first career Camping World Truck Series victory. But Austin Hill's going to try and do everything he can, because if he can pass that 17 truck, that will be an automatic advancement to the round of 12. 17 truck got a great exit of turn number 2. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. David Reagan has been trying to win a race in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for more than 15 years, and he's finally done it. Reagan takes home the victory in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Darlington Raceway. And David Reagan steals away the victory from playoff contenders Austin Hill and Stuart Friesen and scores Ford its only 2nd victory on the season. And this victory, I believe, has proved that Ford is now on a level playing field with the rest of the manufacturers. In fact, we had Fords finish 1st and 4th with David Reagan and Timothy Peters. Reagan scores LGR, its first victory of the 2021 season. And so David Reagan has taken home the victory here in the South Carolina Education Lottery 200, being a playoff spoiler, leading only 19 laps tonight. He obviously had one of the best trucks earlier on in the race, but a pitting mishap where he actually missed his pit road entry and got caught out of pitting with the rest of the field cost him an awful lot of track position, which is why he had to make that late race rally. And it was an impressive performance taking home the victory in the first place from a 25th place starting position. Austin Hill, your highest playoff contender, brought it home in 2nd position. Stuart Friesen 3rd, Timothy Peters in 4th, Austin Theriault in 5th spot, Christian Eckes in 6th, Chase Purdy with a good finish for him in 7th position, Casey Mears in 8th position, the 22 of Austin Wayne Self in 9th, and the 97 of Jesse Little rounding out your top 10. And so here are your updated playoff standings following the race here at Darlington. Obviously, nobody locked in with wins because we had a playoff spoiler, but Austin Hill with his second place finish now sets 27 points above the cut line. Friesen and Eckes both 26 points above. Matt Crafton 24 points above, as well as Timothy Peters. Ty Dillon 17 points above. His teammate Mears 16 points above. Regular season champion Grant Enfinger now a relatively uncomfortable just 12 points above the cut line. Sheldon Creed only 11 above. Brennan Poole 5 points, Brett Holmes 3 points, and Parker Kligerman just 1 point above the cutoff line. Then on the outside looking in, we have Ben Rhodes, who sets 1 point out, Dawson Cram 10 points out, Ty Gibbs 11 points out, and Ryan Truex 13 points out of making the next round. And just for the fun of it, here are your overall standings. Even knowing this has really nothing to do with the playoffs, it does show you who is outside of the top 16 contending for the highest position who is not running for a playoff spot. That means that Austin Theriault is currently the best of the rest, running 17th in points, passing Ty Majeski in point standings at Darlington. Then we have Todd Gillen behind them, and John Hunter Nemechek rounding out the top 20. And so now we move on to race number 2 of the round of 16, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Rockingham Speedway. In the race analysis, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 will take place over the course of 200 laps around this just a little bit over 1 mile oval in Rockingham, North Carolina. Stage 1 ends on lap 50, and Stage 2 comes to its conclusion on lap 100. Just like Darlington Raceway, this track has a lot of similar challenges, except this racetrack is a little bit wider, gives you a little bit more racing room. This place is multi-groove, up to about 4 lanes well into a run. The high lane is likely going to be preferred. This is a very worn-out racing surface, so it's going to eat up tires and really reward those who have the patience to save their rubber towards the end of a run. This is certainly a finesse racetrack, and whoever comes out on top here will most likely be a veteran, much like what we saw at Darlington Raceway. And this racetrack typically has quite a few wrecks in it, so you got to try and stay out of trouble. And also, just like our objective at Darlington, the objective here tonight is to try and score the victory to advance to the round of 12. Every race obviously opens up a huge opportunity to advance to the next round, especially here tonight at Rockingham. If you score the victory, you no longer have to worry about Bristol, and that could be a huge advantage, not having to prepare to try and survive the 200 laps on that half mile. In the starting lineup, Ben Rhodes, after having a tough race at Darlington, comes out here to Rockingham and scores the pole above the number 31 of Ty Dillon, 61 of Max McLaughlin, 53 of Cameron Haley. Number 12 truck of Christian Eckes qualifies in 5th position. Brandon McReynolds qualifies in 6th spot. Raphael Lassard, who missed the race at Darlington, comes out here to Rockingham and puts that number 24 truck 7th in the starting grid. Parker Kligerman qualifies in 8th spot. Ty Majeski in 9th, and Brett Holmes rounding out your top 10. Other notable starters include the 88 of Matt Crafton in 13th, the 1 of Haley Deegan in 14th, the 11 of Spencer Davis, who made this race as opposed to Deanne Queuing at Darlington. He qualified 19th. Derek Krause also made this race starting in 20th. The 6 truck of Nick Sanchez qualifying in 21st spot. This will be his Camping World Truck Series debut, and also the debut of Rev Racing. They have some history at this speedway at Rockingham, winning the 2012 ARCA Menards East Series title with Kyle Larson. The number 2 of Sheldon Creed qualifies in 22nd position. The 14 of Sam Mayer in 23rd. 52 of Stuart Friesen in 28th spot. 16 of Austin Hill in 29th position. 25 of Mason Mingus in 31st position. The 44 of Bailey Curry qualifies in 32nd. The 45 of TJ Bell qualifies in 35th position. The number 51 of Daniel Hemrick, the NASCAR Xfinity Series regular, qualifies in 36th spot. The 46 of Chandler Smith qualifies in 37th. The 98 of Grant Enfinger once again gets a bad qualifying position, all the way down in 38th position. The 15 of Tanner Gray qualifies in 41st spot, and Timothy Peters just barely made the field after getting in trouble in qualifying, had a very poor lap, qualifies the number 87 truck in 42nd position. And the trucks that failed to make the race include the 56 of Timmy Hill, 97 of Jesse Little, 02 of Tony Breidinger, and the 22 of Austin Wayne Self. And at the drop of the green flag, pole sitter Ben Rhodes got out to a good jump on the start above the second place starter of Ty Dillon through turns 1 and 2, clearing the outside line. Watch this run through turns 3 and 4 by the 12 truck of Christian Eckes on the bottom. Gets right back to the throttle very early. Gets side by side with the 99 truck coming down to the start-finish line. Rhodes will lead the first lap, but Christian Eckes will take the race lead away down in turns 1 and 2. On lap number 2, we had 3 teammates composing the top 3, with Ty Majeski getting to the inside of his playoff contending teammate of Christian Eckes, and Majeski taking away the race lead. On lap 4, it was a teammate battle out front once again. This time, Majeski gets passed by the 33 of Ryan Truex. At the start-finish line, it was a drag race with Truex leading the lap. On lap number 8, the pole sitter of Ben Rhodes got a great run through turns 3 and 4 on the 33 truck of Ryan Truex. Got side by side with him down the front straightaway and made the move into the first 2 corners. Ben Rhodes back out front, the 99 for Thor Sport Racing. On lap number 9, Todd Gilliland actually made some side-by-side contact with the 3 truck of Brandon McReynolds, pulling almost a slide job on him coming off of turn 4. On lap 12, we had yet another pass for the lead. This time it was Ryan Truex to the inside of Ben Rhodes once again. Truex back out front, with now Ty Gibbs taking up second, and the top 4 runners are all playoff contenders. Lap 13, Ty Gibbs gets the run through turns 3 and 4. Gets side by side with the 33 truck and clears him off the final turn. Ty Gibbs now the race leader in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. And on lap 14, the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen is struggling mightily, currently running down in 42nd position. Tough run already for this playoff contender. Lap 17, Sam Mayer actually door slams the 24 of Raphael Lessard coming off of turn 4. And with that move, Mayer moves up into 5th. And by lap 21, the 87 truck of Timothy Peters, who started this race dead last, has already cracked the top 20, so he's got a good truck for racing, but definitely did not have the setup for qualifying. On lap 22, watch this move that Ty Majeski makes to go from 3rd to 1st. His teammate Truex tries to get to the inside of Ty Gibbs. Majeski sees an opening down on the bottom, makes it 3 wide to the start-finish line. Truex gets credited with leading a lap. Truex tries to send the 18 truck wide. They actually make side-by-side contact, and the 55 truck of Ty Majeski sneaks by on the bottom to take away the race lead in an impressive 3-wide move. On lap 24, though, the 33 truck of Ryan Truex made his way back down to the inside of the 55 and took away the top spot once again through turns 1 and 2. And by lap 25, the number 6 truck of Nick Sanchez currently runs in the top 10. A great run for Sanchez and this team, making both their debut here tonight at Rockingham. The number 61 truck of Max McLaughlin had charged his way through the field, driving for Toy Racing Enterprises. He made the look down to the inside of Ryan Truex at the end of lap number 30, got side by side with him, and made the move for the top spot entering turn number 1. McLaughlin now out front. On lap 32, though, the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs gets to the bottom of the 61, makes the move into the first turn, sneaks by, and re-clears the 61 of Max McLaughlin for the top spot. And Todd Gilliland's bad luck continues. He had brake fade at Darlington, and now on lap 32, a blown tire. You know, we had mentioned this racetrack is very rough on tires. Well, on lap 33, we had a playoff contender have a flat tire. This time it was the 23 of Brett Holmes. Came down pit road, had a tire going down. An unfortunate break for Holmes, who is contending for a playoff spot and comes in a bad position in the points. And over the next 15 laps, the number 18 truck of Ty Gibbs absolutely drove away from the field. Currently, the second-place runner is now Sam Mayer. We've had a bit of a battle for second between Mayer, Lessard, and Ty Dillon. Currently, Mayer holding the position with now Dillon trying to make the move to the inside, and he makes the move work. Lap 47, Raphael Lessard makes the pass on the 31 truck and takes up second. Remember, he didn't even make last week's race at Darlington. The first caution of the day comes out on lap number 48 with 3 Fords running under a blanket. You see the 8 of Murphy, 1 of Haley Deegan, and 15 of Tanner Gray. Deegan turns in just a little bit too soon into turn number 3, hooks the 8 up into the outside wall with a hard impact, and Camden Murphy gets knocked out of the race in this one-truck accident. And here's the crash in real time. You see the 2 black trucks running right there. Hook and collide with the 8 truck taking a hard hit up into the outside wall. One of Deegan did get some right side damage out of that, but it doesn't look too significant. But the 8 is certainly out of this race. And so that crash has brought the end of stage number 1. Ty Gibbs now racing back to the caution flag and will receive the green and white checkered flag along with it. Ty Gibbs will take home the stage number 1 victory here at Rockingham. The North Carolina Education Lottery 200. 24 of Lassard in second, 31 of Ty Dillon third, 12 of Eckes in fourth, and 33 of Ryan Truex in fifth. Lap 50, Ty Gibbs leads the entire lead lap field down pit road, but watch this incident between the 12 and 33 trucks. The 12 truck gets hard onto the brake pedal to try and get down to pit road speed limit, but does a little bit too much, and the 33, his teammate of Ryan Truex, makes pretty significant contact with that 12 truck. A lot of front-end damage on Ryan Truex's number 33. The 2 trucks that had to pit due to flat tires will stay out and try to get their lap back on this restart. And so now your front runners off of pit road are Ty Gibbs, Raphael Lassard, and Ty Dillon. The 33 of Ryan Truex will restart from 4th position, and they did remove the hood off that 33 truck from the damage he got while pitting. And on the restart, the 24 truck of Raphael Lassard gets a great jump on the 18, who got slowed up a little bit by the lap traffic of Todd Gilliland. He makes the move down to the inside, and Lassard takes away the top spot on lap 54. However, Gibbs was not in second for very long. He gets the run through 3 and 4 on lap 55, drag races the 24 down to the stripe, and takes away the top spot into the first turn. Lap 56, the 87 truck of Timothy Peters has made his way all the way up to 5th from a last place starting position as the 31 of Ty Dillon goes off into turn number 1 and clears the 18 of Ty Gibbs for the race lead. The caution flag waved once again on lap 56 as the 25 truck of Mason Mingus dived in a little bit too hard into turn 3, clipped the right rear tire actually of the 98 of Grant Enfinger. Those two ran up into the outside wall. 25 clips the wall, 98 follows him up into it, and they both spin around through turns 3 and 4, bring out the caution flag once again. And on the restart on lap 62, the 21 of Zane Smith got through the gears a little bit better than the 31 of Ty Dillon, made the move through 1 and 2, and Zane Smith is now out front here at Rockingham. And as you could tell, there was trouble coming off of turn 2. The 3 truck of Brandon McReynolds is up against the outside wall, but then you have trucks going 3 wide behind him. The 51, 44, and 19 trucks are trying to go 3 wide. Then they have to avoid the 3 truck, which is slowing up very quickly. He bounces off the outside wall down into Daniel Hemrick in the 51. That clips the 44 truck and 19. Hemrick goes into the inside wall with a very hard impact. Fortunately, none of these 4 trucks slide up into oncoming traffic, but a 4-truck accident off turn number 2 brings out the caution flag once again. Cautions are breeding cautions here at Rockingham. Here's a look at Hemrick's impact in real time. It was a pretty significant hit down into the inside wall. Lifted the rear wheels off the ground on that 51 truck. Once again, bad luck bites Daniel Hemrick. And now this was a strange one. This was after the caution flag already flew. The 16 of Austin Hill sent it into turn number 1 a little bit too deep under the cooldown and actually slid up into a fellow playoff contender, that being the 98 of Enfinger and the 1 of Haley Deegan. All 3 of them go up into the outside wall and spin after the caution flag was already out. It was not intentional on the number 16 team's part, but still somewhat of a big hit for both the 16 and 98 teams and an unfortunate break for this one team of Haley Deegan, who's already been involved in multiple accidents. And so following that big crash coming off of turn number 2, the 51 truck of Daniel Hemrick is now out of the race. And the green flag waved once again on lap 66. GMS trucks of Lassard and Zane Smith compose second and first. But quite a bit of battling farther back with Gibbs to the inside of Gilliland. Well, we didn't make it very long, though, before we had yet another caution. In fact, just about half a lap. Same situation like what we saw between Mingus and Enfinger. The 09 truck turns in a little bit too early, makes contact with the right rear of the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Sauter manages to catch it. The 09 breaks loose and out of control, slides up into the outside wall, into turn 3, slides back down the track and gets hit hard by the 16 of Austin Hill, a playoff contender, knocked out of the race. Both Stephen Parsons and Austin Hill are done for the night. And here's a quick look at the crash in real time. Turns in just a little bit too early on the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Breaks loose up into the wall and gets hit very hard by the 16 of Austin Hill. A very tough break for this number 16 team chasing a championship. And racing back to the start-finish line, the 87 truck of Timothy Peters actually took up second. That is a full 41 positions gained over 68 laps. And on lap 72 after the restart, the man who restarted in third position, Raphael Lassard, got to the bottom of the 87 of Timothy Peters, took up second, then got a great run through 3 and 4 on his teammate of Zane Smith, challenging him side by side down to the first turn, with Raphael Lassard taking away the race lead as the 21 truck pushed on the exit of turn 2. We have a very close moment on lap 73 between Chandler Smith, Casey Mears, Dawson Cram, and the 45 of TJ Bell. Contact between the playoff contenders of Mears and Cram. That forces the 41 down into the 45 of Bell. He has to turn it very far to the right, slides the truck out, almost collects the cone, runs it through the grass a little bit on the front straightaway, but he keeps it going in the right direction. On lap 75, Sam Mayer has been slicing his way straight through this field, gets a great run through turns 3 and 4, and Sam Mayer for Tony Stewart Racing takes away the top spot on the front straightaway. On lap 77, we have big trouble for some playoff contenders. Pretty much yet another mirror accident. Matt Crafton turns into turn number 3 a little bit early, hooks the right rear quarter panel of the 12 of Christian Eckes, turns him up into the outside wall with a hard impact. Completely destroys the front end of the 12 truck, turns the 88 sideways. Crafton now sliding down the banking, gets hit by the 19 of Derek Kraus and the 41 of Dawson Cram. Remember, Cram is another playoff contender. This knocks both Christian Eckes and Derek Kraus out of the race. And here's the wreck in real time, just so you see the significance of the impact up into the outside wall for this 12 truck. A huge hit for this 12, and it actually followed practically the tire marks of the other accidents, right up into the same area of the outside wall. And so the full list of trucks out of the race following that accident is the 19 of Derek Kraus, 12 of Christian Eckes, and the 88 of Matt Crafton. So Crafton records a DNF here at Rockingham. That's going to be a tough points position to try and dig himself out of. On the restart on lap 82, the 11 truck of Spencer Davis got a great jump down to the inside and actually cracked the top 5. His very own number 11 truck. On lap 83, we once again have trouble in turn 3, but this time it turns slightly scary. The number 1 of Haley Deegan once again involved in it. She turns in a little bit too early as the 40 truck is slowing up for a shallow entry into the corner. Deegan makes contact with the right rear quarter panel of the 40 with a hard impact up into the outside wall, gets hit by the 26 and turns over. The 40 truck of Will Rogers rolls off the banking and now out of the race. Fortunately, Will Rogers was uninjured in this accident, but take a listen to what the crash sounded like from our stationary camera. An absolutely huge hit up into the outside wall, turns that 40 truck over and comes to rest on all 4 tires in the center of turns 3 and 4. And after a fairly calm restart, where the 12 of Sam Mayer and 21 of Zane Smith practically gapped the field, the 11 of Spencer Davis actually made his way up to third. Watch the 87 truck coming off of turn number 2. Pushes just a little bit and makes contact with the outside wall. Quite a bit of right side damage now on that 87 as he tries to march his way through the field. As you recall, he started this race dead last, 42nd, shotgun on the field, and he drove his way all the way up to second, but now starting to have trouble. And also at the end of lap number 90, the 21 of Zane Smith got his way to the inside of the 14 of Sam Mayer, took away the race lead off turn 4 with now 10 laps to go in stage 2. But Sam Mayer wasn't done yet. He drove his way right back to the tailgate of the 21 truck, and on lap 95, got his way back down to the inside. Sam Mayer beats him back to the start-finish line. Now with just 5 laps to go, it appears to be a battle between the 14 and 21 trucks for the stage 2 victory. How about this, by the way? Sheldon Creed has raced his way into third position in that number 2 truck for GMS Racing. On lap 99, the 11 truck of Spencer Davis overdrives turn number 3 just a little bit and gets up into the outside wall and rides it all the way through the exit of turn 4. Also a little bit of contact between Peters and Majeski. And I'm telling you, Sam Mayer has really figured out how to win stages in this Camping World Truck Series, but he just has not had the luck to close out the race victories. Going through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in stage number 2, Sam Mayer will take home the stage number 2 victory here in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Sam Mayer wins the stage above the 21 of Zane Smith, 24 of Raphael Lessard, 18 of Ty Gibbs, and the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed. 3 of the top 5 were out of GMS Racing. Under the stage number 2 caution, the 87 truck of Timothy Peters comes down pit road, likely due to all that right side damage he got from slamming the outside wall. Outside of him, everybody else stays out, so Timothy Peters is sacrificing a whole lot of track position. But then again, you saw earlier in this race, he started dead last anyway, so it really doesn't make that much of a difference. They've got a very strong truck, and they can claw their way back through the field when needed. The green flag came back out on lap 105 for the final stage, but watch this. The 4 truck, as Nemechek gets on the throttle and shifts up to second gear, blows an engine. The number 4 truck of John Hunter Nemechek is now out of the race and brings out a caution the very same lap the green flies. However, the 1 lap under green was just the right amount of time for the 21 of Zane Smith. He made his way to the inside of the 14 of Sam Mayer. Through turns 3 and 4, he completes the pass. You see that 18 truck also making up a lot of track position on the bottom. 21 of Zane Smith leads the field back to the caution flag. 18 of Ty Gibbs from 4th to 2nd as well. On lap 107, we have a pretty significant split in pit strategy. Quite a few trucks come down pit road, including the entirety of the top 15. However, some opt to stay, with the new top 3 being the 44 truck of Bailey Curry, the actually heavily damaged number 1 truck of Haley Deegan, and the 87 of Timothy Peters, who, as you recall, was the only truck to come down pit road during the last cycle, so he's actually still on really good rubber. However, the 1 and 44 trucks are in quite a bad situation, as they have not pitted in quite a while, so they might be falling like a rock on this restart. On the restart on lap 110, Ty Gibbs made the move down to the inside of the 21 of Zane Smith, making his way up into 4th position. He also got around the 87 of Timothy Peters, who got held up by the lap truck of Todd Gilland. Ty Gibbs now up into 3rd spot. And it did not take Ty Gibbs very long to get the race lead on those fresh tires. He pressures the 44 truck down into turn number 3 as the 14 gets clipped and hard into the outside wall. Now racing back to the caution flag as Ty Gibbs is your race leader. 44 will come back in 2nd position. And once again, bad luck strikes for Sam Mayer. Seems like every single week he manages to pull off a stage victory, but is never able to close out the finish of the race. Down into turn number 3, gets clipped by the 21 of Zane Smith. As you can tell, the 14 truck trying to go for a shallow entry gets clipped right there. Turned up hard into the outside wall. A pretty significant impact right there. A very bad angle to hit that outside wall. Then watch this. He gets hit by the 24 of Raphael Lessard and actually turns over. Yet another truck to go over here in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Sets back onto his wheels and gets clipped by the 3 truck of Brandon McReynolds. Here's where things get scary. He gets hit driver's side by the 26 of Chase Purdy, who has absolutely nowhere to go, and the 14 truck turns over once again. Sam Mayer takes a hard impact into the driver's side, but fortunately, due to safety improvements made over the last few seasons, primarily actually since the Watkins Glen wreck of Will Rogers, that area of the race truck that was impacted by the 26 has been reinforced since that event, and it kept Sam Mayer from significant injury. Mayer climbed out of that race truck uninjured following this horrific tumble through turns 3 and 4. And here's the crash in real time. Gets clipped down in turn 3. A huge impact into the wall. Almost goes over right there. Gets clipped by the 3 and slammed into by the 26. Fortunately, Mayer was uninjured in this accident. Over the course of the week, some of the pain from that hairline fracture that he suffered in his wrist from a Trans Am accident last season started to come back a little bit. However, he was cleared by NASCAR's medical team to participate in the race activities at Bristol, including the ARCA, Truck, and Xfinity Series events down at Bristol. Now, if the next race was a track like, say, Daytona or Talladega, I think that NASCAR might have let him set out just to make sure. But since the next race is a short track at Bristol, Tennessee, and it did not re-fracture his wrist, NASCAR deemed it safe to clear Sam Mayer to participate in next weekend's activities out at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Following that massive accident through turns 3 and 4, the number 26, 24, and 14 trucks are all out of the race, those being Purdy, Lassard, and Mayer. Fortunately, no major injuries out of that accident. On lap 113, we had a very small pit split with the 44, 1, 21, and 3 trucks all coming down, but the majority of the race leaders staying out. Take a look at this on lap 117. Nick Sanchez, in his Truck Series debut, gets around the 55 and 87 trucks through 3 and 4 and makes his way up into 4th position in that Honda Generators number 6 Silverado. On lap 120, there's some contact between the Nice Motorsports teammates of Carson Hocevar and the 45 of TJ Bell. Bell pushes off of turn number 4, clips him in the left rear quarter panel, but Hocevar does a great job at saving that race truck off the final turn. How about this for a bit of a surprise? We have a driver making his debut running in 4th, Tanner Gray in 3rd spot, and Johnny Sauter in 5th. Great runs right now for people who certainly need it. Lap 121, we have a battle between 2 playoff contenders for the top spot. Casey Mears gets to the inside of the 18 of Ty Gibbs. They battle side by side at the start-finish line, and Mears takes away the top spot. Entering turn number 3, the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs makes a little bit of contact with the 60 of Mears, trying to run in deep into turn 3. Couldn't quite do anything with it as he slid up into the marbles. Also, the 42 and 99 trucks got up into the outside wall with pretty significant damage, but not enough to bring out a caution flag. Lap 123, Ty Gibbs makes contact with Mears once again. A huge bump into the rear tailgate of the 60. Ty Gibbs really trying to send a message to Casey Mears, even though I'm pretty sure that 60 truck is faster. And by lap 126, Nick Sanchez has raced his way around the 18 of Ty Gibbs and is now challenging the 60 for the top spot. Down the front straightaway, Nick Sanchez trying to take away the race lead in his debut in the Camping World Truck Series, and he has done it. Sanchez out front for Rev Racing in their first ever start in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Almost contact between the 6 and 60 trucks as Mears really tried to sail it off into turn 3, but Sanchez holds the top spot at the line. That's his first career lap lead. On lap 132, Casey Mears battles back to the race lead, getting the run on the inside of the 6 of Nick Sanchez. Takes a bit of a shallow entry down to turn number 1 and takes the top spot back once again. On lap 136, the number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed has raced his way all the way up into 4th position. On lap 139, Ty Gibbs sets up the 60 of Casey Mears in the center of 3 and 4. They make a little bit of contact and drag race side by side to the start-finish line. Ty Gibbs takes away the race lead entering turn number 1. Lap 141, the 6 of Nick Sanchez sets up the 18 of Ty Gibbs. Dives down to the bottom. They go side by side to the stripe. And entering turn number 1, Nick Sanchez is back out front in his Truck Series debut. And watch all the action through turns 3 and 4 on lap 142. Ty Gibbs gets put 3 wide by Sheldon Creed down on the bottom. Ty Dillon uses up the 18 of Ty Gibbs just to make the corner as his teammate Casey Mears goes side by side with Nick Sanchez for the top spot. And by the way, Ty Gibbs was not too happy with the driver number 31 after pulling off that move. Didn't quite know that there was the 2 truck forcing that move to happen as Casey Mears takes away the top spot. Lap 144, Nick Sanchez gets the run through 3 and 4. Goes side by side with the 60 once again, and Sanchez is back out front. Ty Gibbs tried maybe just a little bit too hard to try and reel in the 31 of Ty Dillon. While these two were battling for 3rd spot, much like what we've seen all day, 18 turns in a little bit too early, makes contact with the 31, and they hook. 31 hard into the outside wall. A huge impact lifts the rear tires off the ground. Ty Dillon then slides down the racetrack as the 18 continues. Remember, these two are both playoff contenders. Gets clipped by the 45 of TJ Bell. And the 13 has absolutely nowhere to go. Johnny Sauter makes contact with him. Then the separation of the banking and the apron actually turns the 13 over. Brett Holmes had a big impact in this as well as the 53 of Cameron Haley. But the 13 tumbles multiple times. Fortunately, no injuries in this one, but multiple big crashes here at Rockingham Speedway. Here's a look at it in real time for Ty Dillon. Gets clipped by the 18. A very large impact up into the outside wall and slides down the banking, getting hit by the 45. 13. Sauter goes over into a wild tumble through 3 and 4 and comes to a rest on his roof. And Nick Sanchez actually led the field back to the start-finish line in a photo finish above the 60 of Casey Mears, just barely edging out Mears at the start-finish line for the top spot. Lap 146, we have a split in pit strategy for what could possibly be their final stop of the day. The 6, 60, 61, 15, and several others stay out. However, the 2, 87, 18, who is damaged, 11, and many trucks hit the pits. And with how important tires are here at Rockingham, it's entirely possible that this call to come down pit road could be the race-winning decision. Following that massive crash in between turns 3 and 4, the 53 of Cameron Haley, the 31 of Ty Dillon, and the 13 of Johnny Sauter are all out of the race. The 18 of Ty Gibbs still continues. He would have been parked had that wreck actually been intentional, but it was not intentional. It was racing maybe a little bit too hard, trying to catch the 31, but that was not his intent. On lap 50 after the restart, the number 15 of Tanner Gray got a great jump to the inside of McLaughlin and Casey Mears, moving from 4th all the way to 2nd. And you know, Timothy Peters took on fresh tires and restarted down in 13th. Just look at the momentum that he was able to carry through turns 1 and 2 on those fresh tires. He was able to pass about 5 trucks in one corner. Peters actually had a bit of a dicey moment coming off of turn number 4, as did the 21 and 55, as Peters actually slides dead sideways, passing the 1 of Haley Deegan and the 61 of Max McLaughlin. And all this battling for track position actually allowed the number 6 of Nick Sanchez to gap the field by about half a second. Watch this move entering turn number 3. Zane Smith actually pulls a 4-wide move on Kligerman, Mears, and Timothy Peters, holding track position on all 3 of those playoff contenders, and currently resides in 4th position with now the 87 truck dropping back. By the way, the 33 of Ryan Truex put on tires, and it is making up for all the aero damage that he has. Fresh rubber, he's able to hold more momentum in the center of the corner, and he now runs in 8th position, even without a hood. On lap 157, the 11 truck of Spencer Davis actually makes his way all the way up to 3rd position on fresh rubber. Currently, the 44 and 6 trucks still hold 1st and 2nd on old tires, but you have to imagine that they will be sitting ducks with all these trucks on fresh rubber, carving their way quickly through the field, now less than 1 second back from them. On lap 159, Bailey Curry, who's still on old rubber, is being pressured by all the trucks on fresh tires, tries to keep up with them, pushes off of turn number 2 and makes contact with the outside wall, drops back very quickly, and now Spencer Davis, Timothy Peters, Chandler Smith, Ryan Truex, all they have to do is focus on catching the race leader, and that is the number 6 of Nick Sanchez on old rubber, just 1 second ahead of the 2nd place runner. Lap 160, Timothy Peters makes the move to the inside of Spencer Davis, taking up 2nd, and with that momentum that he got off of turn number 4, he gets the run on the 6 of Nick Sanchez, the race leader on old rubber. And as you can tell, the tires really made the advantage coming off of turn number 2. The 87 truck of Timothy Peters for Nemco Motorsports, fielding those Camping World colors because of the whole Triple Truck Challenge deal, takes the race lead with a bit of a bump from the 6 of Nick Sanchez, who now drops back as those old tires really have started to catch up to him. Lap 166, playoff contender Grant Enfinger goes a little bit wide into turn number 1 and makes pretty significant contact with the outside wall. Also make note, the 18 of Ty Gibbs is still in the race. In fact, he's on fresh tires and currently runs in 16th position, trying to salvage what turned into a pretty bad day for him. On lap 167, the 11 truck of Spencer Davis corners underneath the 87 of Timothy Peters. They go side by side down the front straightaway. And Spencer Davis takes away the race lead through turns 1 and 2, trying to take home his first career NASCAR Camping World Truck Series victory. And watch this, Timothy Peters makes contact with the right rear quarter panel of the 11 truck of Davis coming into turn number 3. Tried to run it in deep to try and get side by side with him. It didn't quite work, but Peters is still hounding the tailgate of the number 11 truck. Lap 169, the 87 gets right up to the tailgate, loosens up the 11 truck just a little bit. They go side by side down to the start-finish line. And entering the first turn, Timothy Peters is now back out front. Keep your eyes on the number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed. He currently runs in 3rd position and could easily take away 2nd in the next few laps. And to begin lap 171, Sheldon Creed takes up the 2nd spot, so it is now a playoff 1-2 battle between Timothy Peters and Sheldon Creed for potentially a round of 12 advancement. Lap 173, the 4th place runner of Chandler Smith catches the outside wall just a little bit coming off of turn number 2, slight right side damage. By lap 176, the 11 truck of Spencer Davis has actually retaken the 2nd position off of Sheldon Creed. And your top 3 runners right now represent all 3 manufacturers of Ford, Toyota, and Chevrolet. Lap 179, the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed has retaken 2nd spot, and you can already tell that putting on tires on that most recent caution is most likely going to be the race-winning decision. The 6 truck of Nick Sanchez has dropped all the way down to 10th, and he resides 8.7 seconds off the tailgate of the 87. Lap 181. The number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed gets held up in lap traffic that the 87 of Timothy Peters used perfectly as a pick, opening up the gap to more than 1 second back to the 2nd place runner. Lap 184, the 38 of Todd Gilland actually puts the bumpers of the race leader of Timothy Peters and makes his way down to the inside, forcibly getting himself back onto the lead lap. So he might just be in legitimate contention if he can catch a caution. And the caution that the number 38 team wanted came on lap 188. 92 truck turns in too sharply on the 3, slides into the 3 truck, breaks loose, and makes very hard contact up into the outside wall, bringing out the caution flag once again. Here's just another look at it. 92 truck turns in a little bit too soon on the 3 as the 3 truck was slowing up. Takes a hard impact up into the outside wall, but fortunately no more trucks involved in this one. But what this caution does is it allows the 38 to get back onto the lead lap, and it tightens up the lead battle between Peters, Creed, and Davis. The green flag flies with just 7 laps to go. The entire top 3 is lined up single file with the 87, 2, and 11 trucks ready to do battle. Especially the 87 and 2 who are battling for a round of 12 advancement. Lap 195 down into turn number 1. The 11 truck of Spencer Davis takes away the 2nd position as the 87 has started to drive away just a little bit. Lap 197, the caution flag comes out once again. This time Nick Sanchez in his Truck Series debut turns in too early. Same song, different verse. Makes contact with the right rear quarter panel of the 52 of Stuart Friesen. Turns him up into the outside wall. The hard impact almost into the exact same area. 52 then slides down the banking and gets hit by the 23 of Brett Holmes. Holmes gets knocked out of the race in this accident. The caution flag waves, and we are now set up for a green-white checkered finish in the 2nd race of the playoffs in the Camping World Truck Series. And so following that accident, both the number 23 of Holmes and 52 of Stuart Friesen have been knocked out of the race. That's a tough hit for Friesen especially, who's racing for the championship. But how about this 38 of Todd Gilland? He actually raced his way all the way up to 14th on that most recent restart. As you recall, he raced his way back onto the lead lap, caught a lucky caution. Well, now he's up to 14th position, and he's going to get a green-white checker. He could easily she's a top 5 finish. And so for this restart, the entire top 15 trucks are lined up single file, nose to tail. And so now the pace car is off. Timothy Peters leads the field into the restart zone for our one and only attempt at a green-white checker finish. There is the green flag for the 87. Timothy Peters gets the jump down into turn number 1. 11 of Spencer Davis hounding the tailgate of that 87, coming off the second turn. Now heading off into turn number 3, the field keeping it orderly so far. Remember, only one attempt. Here comes the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed, battling the 11, and that's perfect for Timothy Peters as the white flag waves, and there's a battle for second position, clearing out his gap back to second. Creed takes up second. Chandler Smith to third. Peters holds a 3 truck length lead coming into the final 2 corners. Timothy Peters in the number 87 for Nemco Motorsports won at Memphis earlier this season, and he's going to do it again and advance to the round of 12 in the Camping World Truck Series playoffs. Timothy Peters scores the victory in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Rockingham Speedway. His second victory of the season, and it couldn't have come at a better time, advancing to the next round of the playoffs. Oh, and by the way, coming back to the checkered flag, the number 38 team of Todd Gilland actually raced their way up to 8th position. A very good rebound for this Front Row Motorsports team who fought all day long. But how about Timothy Peters scoring the victory from last to first? And so Timothy Peters has done it, essentially completing a last to first challenge here at the Rockingham Speedway in the span of only 200 laps. He led 41 laps and took home the victory. Also, don't forget, because Timothy Peters won this race with Camping World sponsorship that he earned from scoring the victory at Memphis during the Triple Truck Challenge, that means he has been awarded an additional $50,000 for taking home tonight's victory from Camping World. So congratulations to Nemco Motorsports for cashing in on some more Triple Truck Challenge money. Sheldon Creed started in 22nd in the number 2 truck and finished in second position. Quite a few 2s there. Pretty respectable finish for Creed, who is looking to defend his Camping World Truck Series championship from last season. Chandler Smith started down in 37th position and finished in 3rd spot. A great finish for Smith, who has not had very much luck over the course of this season. Ben Rhodes finished in 4th spot. Zane Smith in 5th. Spencer Davis in 6th. That's a great rebound from Darlington for that number 11 team. Carson Hosefar got 7th. Todd Gilland in 8th position. A really great charge through the field by Gilland over the course of this entire race. They fought for pretty much the entirety of these 200 laps. Ty Majeski brought that 55 truck home in 9th position, finishing exactly where he started. And Brandon McReynolds brought that number 3 truck home in 10th position. And so here's a look at your playoff standings following race number 2 of the round of 16. Timothy Peters has obviously clinched a spot with his victory here today in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Sheldon Creed is now 33 points above. Mears is 26 above. Stuart Friesen 24. Ben Rhodes 20. Enfinger 18. Austin Hill 15. Christian Eckes is 14 points above. Matt Crafton 12 above, as well as Ty Dillon. Brennan Poole is just 10 points above, and Parker Kligerman is only 9 points above. The defending ARCA Menard Series champion Brett Holmes sets 9 points out. Ryan Truex 10 points out. Ty Gibbs 17 points out. And Dawson Cram 18 points out of advancing to the round of 12. Here's a look at the rest of the field standings, primarily focus in on 17th through 20th, because the rest was already covered through the playoff standings. It simplifies everything once you get into the playoff portion of the season. We no longer really have to think about too many different calculation systems going on at once, but there's still a battle for best of the rest who did not make the playoffs. Austin Theriault currently holds that spot above Ty Majeski and Todd Gilland. Zane Smith picked up a spot in points, placing ahead of John Hunter Nemechek in regular season point standings after JHN suffered an engine failure here tonight at Rockingham. And so now let's move on to the third race of the round of 16, the UNOH 200 from Bristol Motor Speedway. In the race analysis, the UNOH 200 from Bristol Motor Speedway will take place over the course of 200 laps around this half mile, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 55 and stage 2 coming to its end on lap 110. So overall, a very short race down the round of 16, so that means you have to make your moves quickly. Because if you get stuck in the back somewhere around the end of stage number 2, your odds making it back towards the front are very minimal. You're also going to want to try and stay out of any accidents during the course of today's race. Bristol Motor Speedway is a very crash-prone racetrack, and even though it's a short track, when a wreck starts, normally you have almost nowhere to go to miss it. The front and back straightaways can get clogged very quickly, and when you're running mid-corner, it's very hard to get your truck slowed up in time to run the apron and try and miss an accident anyway. So, keeping your playoff hopes alive could come down to your ability to miss an accident. Timothy Peters has absolutely no worries over the course of this race, however. That's because he just won the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 from Rockingham. He is locked into the round of 12 automatically. Absolutely no concern for that 87 team, just try and get a half-decent finish. And this is your make-or-break chance to make the round of 12. We have 4 drivers obviously being eliminated from championship contention following these 200 laps. The time is now to try and make your way towards the front and at least try and go after as many points as possible, but preferably win your way into the next round. In the starting lineup, Brennan Poole has scored the pole here at Bristol Motor Speedway for On Point Motorsports, with Sam Mayer coming right off his very dramatic tumble at Rockingham. Comes back here to Bristol and qualifies that number 14 truck in second position. Grant Enfinger starts from third position, Ty Dillon fourth. Mike Skinner making his NASCAR Camping World Truck Series return, the 1995 Series champion, running the second Phoenix Racing entry, qualifies that truck in fifth. So keep your eyes on the 95 Series titleist. He could have a very strong run here tonight. His teammate Stephen Parsons in the 09 truck qualifies in 6th position. Stuart Friesen qualifies his own number 52 truck in 7th position. Chandler Smith makes the race in the 46 for Kyle Busch Motorsports and gets a great 8th place starting position. Nick Sanchez qualifies the 6 for Rev Racing in 9th spot. And defending race winner from last week at Rockingham Speedway, Timothy Peters qualifies the 87 truck for Nemco Motorsports in 10th position. Other notable starters include Tanner Gray starting from 12th position, the number 16 of Austin Hill in 13th, Casey Mears in 14th spot, Ben Rhodes starting from 17th, Haley Deegan in 18th, the 61 of Max McLaughlin starting in 19th position, the 53 of Tim Richmond starting in 20th, the 33 of Ryan Truex, the playoff contender, starting in 21st spot, the number 2 of Sheldon Creed down in 22nd, the 51 truck of Corey Heim starting in 24th position, the 18 of Ty Gibbs in 27th, the 8 of Camden Murphy in 28th spot, the 41 of Dawson Cram in 30th, the 45 of TJ Bell starting in 31st position, the 88 of Matt Crafton starting 32nd, his teammate Johnny Sauter starting down in 33rd, then the 44 of Jet Noland in 34th spot, Christian Eckes down in 36th with a bad qualifying position for that playoff contender, as well as fellow title contender Parker Kligerman qualifying the 75 truck down in 38th position, and Mason Mingus qualified the 25 truck in 40th. And the trucks that did not make the UNOH 200 here from Bristol include the number 3 truck of Brandon McReynolds, the 11 of Spencer Davis, the 17 of Taylor Gray, the 24 of Raphael Lassard, the 26 of Chase Purdy, the 56 of Timmy Hill, and the 02 of Tony Breidinger all failed to make the field. And at the drop of the green flag at Bristol Motor Speedway for the UNOH 200, there was one thing that you could really tell about this racetrack, the fact that the bottom lane is going to be preferred. You really can't make up any time whatsoever up on the outside as Brennan Poole rockets out in front of the field. Mike Skinner, with his inside lane starting position, moves all the way up into 3rd spot, but now he's being passed on the inside by Stuart Friesen. Poole, Enfinger, and Friesen now your top 3. As you can see, the 14 of Sam Mayer falling back extremely quickly because of his outside lane starting position. And already by lap number 3, we actually have an incident where you see the 1 truck of Haley Deegan up on the outside, then you have the 2 of Sheldon Creed makes contact with the 53 of Tim Richmond, moving him up the track. The 19 of Derek Krause, season opening down the bottom, actually goes 4 wide and tries to floor it coming off of turn number 2, makes contact with the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed. Creed then clips the 19 up into the outside wall with the 53 truck. The 19 slides down and clips the 25 of Mason Mingus. The 4 truck of Nolan gets some damage out of this. The 12 of Christian Eckes, also the 51 of Corey Heim got involved in the mess. Then entering turn number 3, the 44 of Jet Nolan just practically goes through the 25 truck. And the 1 of Haley Deegan has nowhere to go, plows into the mess. The 12 truck of Christian Eckes gets even more front-end damage, and the 8 of Camden Murphy got hit in the rear end. And because of crash damage by lap number 5, the 23 truck, the playoff contender of Brett Holmes, is already 1 lap behind race leader Brennan Poole. And after the restart, we get some battling for the top spot on lap number 9. The 30 truck of Brennan Poole leaves some of the bottom lane open and allows the 98 of Grant Enfinger to fill the space on the bottom. Enfinger goes out to the race lead on lap 9, but he washes up the racetrack and allows the 52 of Stuart Friesen down to the inside. Friesen takes away the race lead coming off of turn number 4. 52 truck out front with Nick Sanchez taking second. Both the 53 and 8 trucks of Camden Murphy and Tim Richmond have been down pit road numerous times to repair damage. They are both now 3 laps behind the race leader of Stuart Friesen. On lap 14, the 92 truck of Austin Theriault puts the bumper to the 99 of Ben Rhodes, and that's that rootin' and gouging that you see commonly at Bristol Motor Speedway. 92 truck moves the 99 up the racetrack and takes away the spot, as well as getting around the 21 of Zane Smith, who was unfortunately stuck up on the outside line. Lap 17, the 55 truck of Ty Majeski puts the bumper to the 6 of Nick Sanchez coming off of turn number 2, gets that truck a little bit loose, continues to pressure him through 3 and 4. Sanchez moves up the racetrack, and the 55 of Majeski is now up into second position. You want to know how important the inside line is here at Bristol? By lap number 18, the 5 truck of Mike Skinner had gotten freight trained so badly that he was running all the way down in 33rd position. Remember, he started in 5th. And in a span of less than 20 laps, by being moved up to the outside line by Stuart Friesen, he is well outside the top 30. Lap 20, the 30 truck of Brennan Poole makes his way back into second as the 55 truck messes up his entry to turn number 1 and slid up the racetrack, allowing the 30 to make the move. Lap 21, Sam Mayer's bad luck continues. He gets tagged to the left rear quarter panel by the 92, slams the inside wall, makes some contact in the right side with the 09 of Stephen Parsons, but no caution flag comes out. So quite a bit of left side damage on that 14 truck. He will not be coming down pit road, as it would be too detrimental to his run to come into the pits under green. He'd lose at least 3 laps. Lap 23, we have the Germain trucks of Casey Mears and Ty Dillon racing side by side. You see Mears pulls ahead down on the inside line. You got a 3-wide battle up in front of him. The 60 of Mears tries to use up more of the racetrack than is available to him, makes contact with the 88 of Matt Crafton. Mears slides dead sideways coming off of the second turn, does a good job catching the truck, but too shallow of an entry into turn number 3, slides up and catches the 40 and the 31, actually sending his teammate Ty Dillon up into the outside wall and around. Ty Dillon spins off of the high banks, bringing out the caution flag on lap 24. Lap 26, the majority of the field opts to stay out. However, we have a couple of notable exceptions, including the 6 of Nick Sanchez, who pits from 5th position, then the 40 of Will Rogers, 2 of Sheldon Creed, the defending champion, and the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self all come down. But under the second lap under the caution flag, we actually have 2 more trucks hit the pits, those being the 55 and 98 trucks of Ty Majeski and Grant Enfinger, who are running 5th and 6th, respectively. The rest of the field, though, stays out on the racetrack. There you see the 23 of Brett Holmes hitting the pits, but he is a lap down. It was a relatively calm restart up towards the front of the field. However, we did have a battle for 3rd position, with Carson Hocevar getting down to the inside, the 38 of Todd Gilland, taking up that 3rd spot for Nice Motorsports. But just about 1 lap later, the 38 truck of Gilland made the crossover back to the inside and retook the 3rd spot, with now the 42 truck stuck up on the outside line. And by lap 42, you can really tell how dominant the inside lane is at this racetrack. Pretty much everyone trying to run as single file as they possibly can get. Practically a 40-truck conveyor belt here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Lap 44, there was some contact between the 6 and 14 trucks of Nick Sanchez and Sam Mayer. 6 truck tries to put the bumper, the left rear quarter panel to 14, but Mayer does not budge. On lap 48, we had a pretty similar incident between the 45 of TJ Bell and the 92 of Theriault. Theriault leaves about a half a truck width open on the bottom. 45 truck tries to fill that space, but it just wasn't quite there. They made some contact, but Theriault kept the position. You see the playoff contender Matt Crafton also residing right in line behind them, hoping those two make a mistake. With 7 laps to go in stage number 1, you can tell that 52 truck's tires are starting to give up. He moves up off the bottom of the racetrack and also gets forced up just a little bit by the 30 of Brendan Poole. And on lap 49, your pole sitter Brendan Poole is back out front, and the 52 truck already is down in 4th. However, watch this move on lap 52 by Todd Gillen. Mason Mingus boxes in the race leader of Brendan Poole. Todd Gillen gets a good drive off of turn 2, puts the bumper to the 30, and takes away the race lead. Coming back to the start-finish line, Todd Gillen hoping to continue the success that Ford has had over these last 2 weeks. With those new front fender regulations, they've won the last 2 races with David Reagan and with Timothy Peters. And on the final lap of stage number 1, the 38 truck had managed to gap the 33 of Ryan Truex by almost half a second through the final 2 corners. Todd Gillen brings it onto the front straightaway to win stage number 1 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. A very fast stage and a very quick race as well, with Todd Gillen taking home the stage number 1 victory in the 38 for Front Row Motorsports. Ryan Truex 2nd, Stephen Parsons 3rd, Brendan Poole in 4th, and Austin Theriault all the way up to 5th. On lap 57, every single lead lap truck comes down pit road with the exception of 2 very important contenders. Both playoff drivers, Grant Enfinger and Sheldon Creed, opt to stay out, and they will assume 1st and 2nd positions for the stage number 2 restart. The top 3 trucks off of pit road are the 33 of Ryan Truex, then we have the 09 of Stephen Parsons, and the 38 of Todd Gilliland. As you can tell, Gilliland did not get the pit stop that he wanted. He lost 2 spots in the pits with a rather slow stop, at least in comparison to Ryan Truex's stop. We also have 2 lap trucks that will restart in between 2nd and 3rd, those being the 23 of Brett Holmes and the 40 of Will Rogers. On lap 59, the 55 truck of Ty Majeski comes down pit road for the 2nd time because of loose lug nuts. On the restart to begin stage number 2, the lap traffic in between 2nd and 3rd was absolutely perfect for the top 2 contenders of Grant Enfinger and Sheldon Creed, as it completely stalled out the trucks on fresh tires and allowed those on old rubber to get out to at least a 1-second gap before the fresh tires could even get hot. On lap 62, there was another dicey moment surrounding the 60 truck of Casey Mears. He pushes off of turn number 2, uses up the 44 of Jet Nolan just a little bit, and those 2 continue to make contact down to turn number 3 as Nolan tries to send Mears in at a very awkward angle. Mears then slides up into the 44 truck, almost sending the 44 around. Nolan does a good job at catching it. Then we have a 4-wide moment through turns 3 and 4. Kligerman running down on the apron. These are the type of tempers that you see flaring at Bristol Motor Speedway. This is why this track's one of the fan favorites. But somehow they make it through this mess without starting an accident. On lap 64, the lap truck of Will Rogers comes down pit road right in front of the 3rd place runner of Gilliland. And the field checking up for the slowing 40 truck actually caught Stephen Parsons off guard, and he made contact with the outside wall through turns 1 and 2. Lap 66, the 4th place runner of Brendan Poole finally gets down to the inside of the lap truck of Brett Holmes, getting a straight shot up to the 3rd place runner. Johnny Sauter almost made a 3-wide move underneath his teammate Matt Crafton, thought better of it, because if he would have tried to stick his nose in there, he almost certainly would have sent his teammate around. Lap 67, the 33 truck of Ryan Truex also muscled the 6 of Nick Sanchez up the racetrack, taking advantage of the lap truck up on the outside. Really just used up the 6 coming off of turn 2. On lap 68, the 40 truck of Will Rogers is coming off pit road with the 98 of Enfinger right up on the outside. That forces Enfinger to run the high side through turns 3 and 4. Certainly not the preferred line here at Bristol, and that allows the new 2nd place runner of Todd Gilliland to gain almost a full second on him through that set of corners and make the move through turns 1 and 2. Todd Gilliland, now the race leader here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Lap 73, Matt Crafton makes his way to the inside of the 30 truck of Brendan Poole and takes up the 2nd position at the start-finish line, now with his sights set on the 38 of Todd Gilliland. And on lap 77, how about this? The veteran, Mike Skinner, goes to the inside of Sheldon Creed and moves his way back up into the top 10. A great run for Skinner here tonight in the 5 truck for Phoenix Racing. Lap 85, we have a bit of a battle between two Ford competitors. Timothy Peters running in 5th and Tanner Gray running in 6th. They get held up by the 25 of Mason Mingus and then make side-by-side contact right there coming off of turn 4. Gray gets out of the throttle before the situation ends up escalating. But an ongoing battle for 5th position. And by lap 93, just take a look at the lead gap that the 38 of Gilliland has on the 88 now. There's Gilliland, and 4 trucks back in lap traffic is the 88 of Crafton. So Gilliland has done a superior job at getting his way through these lap trucks. So you recall that Enfinger did not come down pit road on the last caution. Well, look at how far back he has fallen. There's the number 98 truck, and right behind him is the 38 of Todd Gilliland. With a little bit over 10 laps to go in stage number 2, Enfinger just has to fight to try and stay on the lead lap. This may be a make-or-break moment in his quest to become the champion in the 2021 season. He currently resides down in 27th position on track. Right up in front of him is also fellow playoff contenders of Creed and Ty Dillon. Lap 100, we have even more trouble with playoff contenders. The 16 truck gets up into the marbles and makes pretty significant contact with the outside wall from turn 1 all the way to the exit of turn 2. On lap 102, the 38 truck of Todd Gilliland puts the 2 of Sheldon Creed down 1 lap. So at this point, this race has become damage control for the number 2 team, as it looks like they will not be contenders for a front-running position. Both the 16 and 98 trucks of Austin Hill and Grant Enfinger fought hard for multiple laps to try and keep the number 38 truck from putting them a lap down. You see right there, contact between the 38 and 16, and that's allowing the 88 of Matt Crafton to gain ground with now just 3 laps to go in stage 2. But watch this through turns 3 and 4. The 16 makes the move to the bottom of the 98, slides up the racetrack, and actually lets Todd Gilliland by on both of them. So now both Enfinger and Austin Hill are 1 lap behind the race leader. Lap 109, the third-place runner of Brendan Poole slides up the racetrack and makes contact with the lap truck of Grant Enfinger. A little bit of contact right there between the 98 and 30. They both do a good job at staying off of each other for the most part. Neither of them went around, and the green flag stayed out on the last lap of stage 2. And after navigating a whole lot of lap traffic, Todd Gilliland pretty much had clear sailing ahead. A 6/10 of a second gap on the 88 truck of Matt Crafton. Through the final 2 corners, Todd Gilliland brings it onto the front straightaway to sweep the stages in the UNOH 200 from Bristol Motor Speedway. Todd Gilliland's had, for the most part, a Sam Mayer-style career where he dominates a race and doesn't often come home with the race victory. Tonight might just be his night. Currently dominating the first 110 laps of competition. Gilliland wins stage number 2, with the 88 of Matt Crafton taking 2nd position, 30 of Brendan Poole in 3rd spot, Johnny Sauter getting a good run in 4th, as well as Tanner Gray having a great night in 5th position. And take a look at this. We had a bit of an accident. Once the caution flag came out, the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self slowed up a little bit more than the 16 truck had anticipated, and Austin Hill accidentally sends Austin Wayne Self around. Nothing intentional between those two, but still a rather odd accident after the caution flag that ended stage 2. Lap 112, most of the field comes down pit road for what could potentially be their final stop of the night. However, we have a few trucks opt to stay out, including the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen, the 61 of Max McLaughlin, the 31 of Ty Dillon, and the 33 of Ryan Truex, all gambling for track position. Interestingly enough, the number 38 truck of Todd Gilliland was the first truck off of pit road, and he actually beat out the 33 of Ryan Truex. Truex obviously did not come down pit road under this cycle. Then the second truck off of pit road was the 30 of Brendan Poole, and the third out of the pits was the 88 of Matt Crafton. There was also 7 trucks, 1 lap down or more, that opted to stay out as well, so they will restart in front of even the race leader of Stuart Friesen, who is all on old rubber. And folks, just watch this restart for the 4th place restarter of Todd Gilliland. Green flag comes out. The top 3 contenders try to jump up to the outside, the lap truck of Mason Mingus, and that leaves the bottom of the track wide open. All the front runners get up into the marbles, and the 38 truck goes from 4th to 1st in just 2 turns. And almost immediately, the call to stay out has backfired as the trucks that are on old rubber have been shuffled up to the outside line, with now Johnny Sauter taking up the 2nd running position. On lap 117, the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes hit pit road for loose lug nuts, a tough break for this playoff contender. Lap 120, we have an incredible battle with the 51 truck of Heim holding up the entire top three runners. Gilliland makes contact with Heim coming off of turn 4, turns him down to the inside of the racetrack. Heim then shoves the race leader all the way up the hill, allowing Matt Crafton to go 3 wide on the bottom of the track from 3rd to 1st. Crafton now the race leader here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and the 38 truck of Todd Gilliland stuck up on the outside. But on lap 123, Johnny Sauter got a great exit of turn number 4, put the pressure on his teammate Matt Crafton. Crafton slid his way up the racetrack. Sauter filled that gap on the bottom. He's a great short track experience racer, even forces the 88 truck up the track. We know that those two are not going to be teammates next year. What does Sauter have to lose? And he takes away the race lead on the front straightaway. Sauter's already been confirmed to be leaving this team at the end of the season. Eric Amarola's taking over this ride next year. Sauter is racing for a contract. Lap 126, the 60 truck of Casey Mears forces a 3-wide move underneath both Eckes and Zane Smith to break his way back up into the top 5. Lap 128, Johnny Sauter leaves just a little bit of the bottom of the racetrack open as he passes the lap truck of Austin Hill. His teammate Matt Crafton capitalizes on that, and Crafton goes to the point once again on lap 128 of 200. Lap 129, we have a fairly large accident as you see the number 09 of Stephen Parsons working his way to the inside. The 87 of Timothy Peters makes contact with the left rear quarter panel. The 87 coming onto the front straightaway and finishes him off, turning the 87 of Peters down into the inside wall. Now Peters is completely out of control, sliding up in front of the racing line. Just barely misses catching the 21, and the 12 truck of Christian Eckes, the playoff contender, has nowhere to go and slams directly into the 87. Ty Dillon tries to slow up in time. He cannot do so. Plows into the mess. Most of the field gets slowed up in time behind those two, but massive amounts of damage on the 31, 87, and 12. Obviously, Peters is locked into the next round, but this accident might just end Christian Eckes' playoff hopes. And unfortunately for the number 12 team of Christian Eckes, they brought that 12 truck down pit road and then pulled it behind the wall and into the garage. Christian Eckes is out of the UNOH 200, and that effectively ends his playoff bid of the 2021 season. The 2-win driver scored victories at Auto Club Speedway and IRP this season and will no longer have a chance at chasing the championship in the Camping World Truck Series this year. Lap 132, the majority of the field opts to stay out on the racetrack. However, the number 31 and 33 trucks of Truex and Dillon both came down pit road. And on the restart on lap 135, it took them probably less than about 100 yards before we had yet another caution flag. The 18 truck of Ty Gibbs was a little bit slow on the restart, allowing the 41 of Dawson Cram to cut up to the outside, trying to make the move work on the very top of the racetrack. Then he cuts down to the bottom to try and pull a crossover, actually hits the wall a little bit and gets turned down the racetrack and gets hit by the 44 of Jet Noland and finished off right almost near, actually almost exactly where Timothy Peters hit the inside wall. The caution flag waves almost as soon as the green came out. Lap 143, the playoff contender of Ryan Truex, who was running in 18th position, comes down pit road for a flat tire as well and drops at least 2 laps down from race leader Matt Crafton. A big hit in points for Truex in this number 33 team. Sam Mayer in the 14 truck as well had a tire go down. You can tell gets down into turn number 3, abruptly slows up to try and save the truck. And Mayer does, in fact, have a tire going down on that 14 TSR Chevrolet. And watch this on lap 145. The 55 truck of Majeski just uses up the 23 of Brett Holmes coming off of turn number 4. Those two both running more than a lap behind the race leader. Lap 146, the 21 of Zane Smith makes the move to the inside. The 09 of Stephen Parsons. Smith takes up the 3rd position, getting a much-needed good run here tonight at Bristol. And by lap 147, it was an all-out battle between 2 longtime teammates at ThorSport Racing, Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton. Right in the center, 1 and 2. Sauter even puts the bumper to the 88 of Crafton, but Matt does not budge in the contact. 2 of the best veterans of our sport going at it for the victory here at one of our toughest racetracks. Lap 152, youngster Nick Sanchez, in only his 2nd career start, gets down to the inside of the 21 of Zane Smith. and takes up the third running position, continuing his good pace in that Rev Racing number 6 truck. Remember, Norm Benning serves essentially as a general manager on this truck, and it's good to see him find some Camping World Truck Series success as well. Lap 155, Matt Crafton gets boxed in by the lap truck of Mason Mingus, and this makes the battle out front even tighter, bringing the entire top 5 under a blanket coming off of turn number 2. Todd Gilliland also makes the move to the inside of Nick Sanchez, nearly sliding up into him, coming up the racetrack, washing up of turn number 4. But Todd Gilliland has now assumed the third position with his sights set on those top 2 Thor Sport trucks. Lap 159, TJ Bell gets very aggressive with Nick Sanchez, picks up the throttle early, actually door slams the 6 coming off of turn 2, and slides him way up the racetrack through turns 3 and 4, makes the slide job happen, and the 45 truck takes over 5th position with, how about this, Mike Skinner now running in 6th spot in the 5 truck for Phoenix Racing. Lap 162, Matt Crafton leaves just a little bit of the bottom open, allows his teammate Johnny Sauter to fill the gap. Sauter slides it off of turn number 2 and makes the move stick through 3 and 4. Johnny Sauter now the race leader here at Bristol in the closing laps. Lap 170, take a look at the massive amount of lap traffic that is running right up in front of race leader Johnny Sauter. There is more than 10 trucks running in a gaggle. Seems like Mason Mingus has been a common denominator in a lot of these lead battles. 171, Sauter gets boxed in behind him as well. 38 tries to make a look down to the inside. They make a little bit of contact right there. Turns 1 and 2, Sauter puts the bumper to the 25 truck, moves him up the racetrack, but Gilliland also gets the 13 truck in the bumper. Moving Sauter up the hill, coming down to turn number 3. Sauter overdrives the corner a little bit and allows the 38 to make the move on the bottom. Todd Gilliland, who swept the first 2 stages, goes back to the race lead on lap 173 as Matt Crafton door slams the 25 truck up the racetrack. And how about this, by the way? By lap 175, the 5 truck of Mike Skinner has driven his way all the way into 5th position. He's only 1.3 seconds back from the race leader of Todd Gilliland. If he gets a caution, the 1995 Series titleist could be a threat to win tonight's UNOH 200 here at Bristol. I'm sure he's really enjoying his Camping World Truck Series return. By lap 183, the 38 truck of Todd Gilliland has put about a 1-second gap above the second place runner of Sauter. Sauter gets boxed in by the 23 of Brett Holmes, and that allows Matt Crafton to make the move down on the inside, coming off of turn 4. Crafton goes to the bottom of the track and takes up the 2nd position off his teammate Johnny Sauter, as there's now a battle for 3rd position between Sauter and Poole, with Sauter clearing the 30 of Poole into turn 3. But Todd Gilliland's 1-second advantage completely evaporated when he got into this very, very heavy lap traffic, including Tim Richmond in the 53 truck, Mason Mingus in the 25, 16 of Austin Hill, 41 of Dawson Cram, and several others. Matt Crafton was able to run laps practically in clean air, gaining on the 38 truck by about 4/10 a lap. And by lap 189, Matt Crafton was hounding the tailgate of the 38 of Todd Gilliland. He gets a great drive off of turn number 2. You saw he moved up the racetrack in the center of the corner, got a great drive off, made the move through turns 3 and 4, and Matt Crafton is now the leader with just 11 laps to go here at Bristol. Todd Gilliland's got to try and get refocused and try and go after this victory because it's not over yet. Lap 193, the caution flag waves as the 5 truck of Mike Skinner accidentally makes contact with the left rear quarter panel of the 53 of Tim Richmond. Richmond a couple laps down. Mike Skinner running in 5th position. Clips Richmond coming off of turn number 2, sends him around into the inside wall. Sliding back in front of the field on the inside of the racetrack, he gets clipped by the 92 of Austin Terrio right there. Pretty significant damage between the 92 and 53. And Nick Sanchez also cannot slow down in time and slides into the side of the 53 truck. Also, while trying to avoid the 53 truck, the 42 of Carson Hosevar gets pit maneuvered by the 8 of Camden Murphy, as the 60 of Casey Mears couldn't slow down in time and rammed the tailgate of the 8 truck. Following that accident, both the number 92 of Austin Terrio and the 53 of Tim Richmond are out of the race. However, Mike Skinner got almost no damage from it whatsoever, and he still remains in 5th position. Matt Crafton leads the field through turns 3 and 4. for the restart with just 3 laps to go in the UNOH 200 and the final 3 laps of the round of 16. This is your opportunity to try and clinch a spot in the round of 12. The green flag waves, and the 88 truck of Matt Crafton gets the jump above the 38 of Todd Gilland through turns 1 and 2. In fact, Johnny Sauter moves the 38 truck up off the bottom of the racetrack. Sauter to second. Mike Skinner drives from 5th to 3rd. 2 laps to go now. The gap is about half a second between the ThorSport teammates of Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter. The battle for second is what has extended that lead gap by so much. Crafton onto the front straightaway. White flag is in the air. Just 15 seconds left in the round of 16. Sauter moves up the racetrack just a little bit. Mike Skinner closes, but it's not going to be enough. Through the final 2 corners, Matt Crafton onto the front straightaway will punch his ticket to the round of 12, scoring the victory in the UNOH 200 from Bristol Motor Speedway as Nick Sanchez slides off the wall. Matt Crafton claims his series-leading 3rd victory of the 2021 campaign. In dramatic fashion, ThorSport takes the top 2 positions here in the UNOH 200. Matt Crafton scores the victory. Johnny Sauter with his best finish and a numerous amount of races with a runner-up. Mike Skinner gets 3rd spot in his series return, an incredible return for Mike Skinner and a great run for Phoenix Racing this year. As you recall, earlier this season they won at Richmond Raceway with Denny Hamlin, now showing good speed with series veteran Mike Skinner. And by the way, after being moved up to the top of the racetrack in the closing laps, the 38 of Todd Gilland dropped all the way down to 7th after restarting in 2nd. And so Matt Crafton has scored the victory here tonight in the UNOH 200, punching his ticket into the round of 12 in the final race of the round of 16. Johnny Sauter, his teammate, brought it home in 2nd position, a little bit farther than 2 truck lengths back. Mike Skinner, the 1995 Camping World Truck Series champion, started the 5 truck for Phoenix Racing in 5th position, brought it home in 3rd spot. A very good finish for Skinner. Unfortunately got wound up in that accident that took out the 53 and 92 trucks, but still a great run for Skinner in his series return. Zane Smith got a well-earned 4th place finish as well in the 21 truck for GMS Racing. Our pole sitter brought it home in 5th position, Brennan Poole, after having a relatively quiet night with the exception of that run-in with Grant Enfinger. Ty Gibbs got a very good 6th place finish. He really did have a quiet night. Fortunately for him, unlike what happened at Rockingham, he got involved in almost no trouble whatsoever here tonight at Bristol. Todd Gilland got another good finish, but was most likely deserving of the victory after leading the most laps at 69 laps led on the night. Brought it home only in 7th position. Lost the lead with about 11 laps to go to Matt Crafton in lap traffic. Might have had a shot back at Crafton had the caution flag not came out with Mike Skinner's accident, but that ran the race down to just a 3-lap to go restart. Sauter got the jump on the 38, and it was really all over from there. But still, Todd Gilland is going to find his 2nd career Truck Series victory very soon. He came close at Daytona Beach. He probably had the truck to beat at Rockingham, too, to be honest with you. He just had trouble all race long and ended up finishing in 8th position, but now 7th place here at Bristol, having pretty much the best truck by far, winning both stages. He is very close to scoring his 2nd career victory. Chandler Smith started in 8th position and finished there, so a very consistent run here tonight for Smith. Ty Dillon finished in 9th position, which for him is actually a fairly good running considering that he almost dropped 1 lap down towards the end of stage number 2. And rounding out the top 10 is playoff contender Dawson Cram, who clawed his way all the way back through the field after an earlier race spin. And so here's what your playoff grid looks like following the final race of the round of 16. Matt Crafton and Timothy Peters obviously advance with their 2 wins. Peters at Rockingham and Crafton here tonight at Bristol. Sheldon Creed clinches a round of 12 spot, 35 points above the cutoff line. Casey Mears 31 points above, now 4th overall in points. Who would have really expected him to be a Championship 4 contender, especially going off the fact that his only win so far this season has come at a super speedway, but he could be a very legitimate title threat here in the 2021 Truck Series season. Stuart Friesen, who so far has only won on dirt races this year, he's been consistent enough to finish this round 27 points above the cutoff line. Brennan Poole for On Point Motorsports is 24 points above the line, so he has advanced to the round of 12. So has Ty Dillon, who is 22 points above Enfinger, plus 18. Parker Kligerman, with no wins on the season, advances into the round of 12, having a very 2014 Ryan Newman-esque season, getting this deep into the playoffs without scoring a victory. Ben Rhodes has made the round of 12, 12 points above the cutoff line. Same situation for Austin Hill. And Ty Gibbs has made it by a very narrow margin of just 5 points. Dawson Cram, even with his top 10 finish here tonight at Bristol, it was not enough. Cram misses the round of 12 by 5 points, and tough luck for both Starcom Speed Station teammates of Eckes and Truex. Ryan Truex had that flat tire, and Eckes got caught up in that accident started by Stephen Parsons. Eckes misses the round of 12 by just 8 points. Ryan Truex misses it by 17 points. And a tough night all the way around for Brett Holmes and that number 23 team. They miss the round of 12 by 19 points. And by the way, speaking of Christian Eckes, Stephen Parsons likely has multiple people gunning after him following that accident that he created coming off of turn number 4, because even though Peters was a lock for the next round, I'm sure he's not very happy about it. He got wrecked out of the race, and Christian Eckes' championship hopes fell apart in that accident as well. So I'd say Stephen Parsons has some explaining to do. So here are your reseeded points coming in to the round of 12 in the Camping World Truck Series playoffs. Matt Crafton and Grant Enfinger are now actually tied at the top of the point list. 8 points out of the point lead is their teammate Ben Rhodes. So once again, we come into a new round of the playoffs with 3 ThorSport trucks composing the top 3 runners. You can tell that team will be a force to be reckoned with at Atlanta in the Championship 4, almost without a doubt. But Timothy Peters now sets 4th in points, 11 points out of the point lead. Sheldon Creed 5th, 12 points out. Ty Dillon running 6th, 14 points out. Austin Hill and Stuart Friesen 7th and 8th, both 15 points out of the point lead. Ty Gibbs, matching his truck number, is 18 points out of the point lead in 9th. Casey Mears, Brendan Poole, and Parker Kligerman, the remaining playoff contenders, set 20 points out of the point lead. So we now have an even closer battle among the top 12. Because they're only separated by 20 points. Just like how especially Christian Eckes was not anticipated to be eliminated in the first round, especially with all the playoff points of 2 wins and the consistency of 10 top 10s this year. The playoff battle was so close in the round of 16 that he got eliminated. But with the entire top 12 only being separated by 20 points coming into the round of 12, you could expect drivers such as Crafton, Enfinger, and Rhodes, all 3 of them being eliminated after the next 3 races. That's how competitive this round could be, with no one having a very clear point advantage. Nobody won enough races this season to have a bunch of playoff points to bank on. And you can see the battle to become best of the rest now begins, with our first 4 drivers eliminated from the playoffs. Cram, Holmes, Eckes, and Truex are now battling amongst themselves for final finishing position in the point standings, as well as the drivers who did not make the playoffs altogether. They're battling among themselves to be 17th in overall points. Currently that spot held by Austin Terrio by just 9 points above Ty Majeski. Then behind Majeski is Zane Smith, and in 20th is Todd Gilliland. As you can tell, John Hunter Nemechek still sets outside of the top 20 in point standings, and this is why he has been confirmed to be leaving Kyle Busch Motorsports at the end of the year. Ryan Preece will be taking over that 4 ride next season. And so now, after all that playoff action, the 3 races of the round of 16, let's move on to my personal favorite segment of the show, Q&A. Welcome back to Post Tech. Before I get on to the Q&A segment, I gotta give you the disclaimer. If I mispronounce any names or handles, I do apologize, but it is bound to happen. Now, question number 1 from NASCAR Awesome Squid 24. Is NASCAR going to consider adding the Miami Road Course to any series? And they're referring to the Formula One Grand Prix circuit that they're setting up in Miami, Florida. I don't believe that NASCAR is going to exactly go there. They have the facility at Homestead Miami Speedway, one of the best oval racetracks that we go to in all of NASCAR. I don't think that NASCAR wants to exactly sacrifice that market to go to a racetrack that is essentially purpose-built for Formula One race cars. We kind of learned a lesson or two from COTA that it's very difficult to take a racetrack that's built for Formula One and make it work for a stock car, primarily due to the fact that the corners at a Formula One circuit are designed for extremely high-speed cornering. That's not what a stock car can do. A corner that a Formula One car can take at 110 miles an hour, a Cup car has to take at about 40. Especially, the S's that we saw at COTA. Similar scenario would occur at Miami if we did so. it might be something to attempt with the lower division, but at the same time, a track that high profile probably wouldn't accept like an ARCA race or something along the lines of that. Their standards are a little bit higher, given the fact that, they're built for a Formula One Grand Prix. So I don't expect to see NASCAR running any races at the Miami Road Course, especially when they, operate Homestead Miami Speedway. That's, in a way, business-wise, kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because they'd still be, paying the duties of keeping Homestead Miami Speedway open even if they weren't running there. So then you're not making the money back from the events, that pay for the track itself. So I imagine that NASCAR is going to keep the races in Miami at Homestead Miami Speedway, and that's also why, it is the middle race of the round of 8 as well. I don't personally see NASCAR reaching out to the promoters of the Formula One Miami GP and trying to set up a National Series date there, because in a way it would be subtracting some of the emphasis put on Homestead Miami Speedway and maybe some of the prestige in many ways from Homestead. So I just don't see an event like this happening. That racetrack is likely going to stay as a Formula One exclusive racetrack. Because if you look at COTA, it's already been through an IndyCar date. That came and went. It looks like it might not even be on the Cup Series schedule next season. So I think that most of these Formula One racetracks are going to stay Formula One racetracks, essentially. They're European-style racetracks built in the U.S., so they don't exactly get too much, U.S.-style racing from divisions such as NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, really any of the staples of American motorsport. They just don't seem to often get those, and I think it's due to mainly the ideology and how they build racetracks. If you look at most European racetracks, they're heavily engineered. Most American racetracks are essentially paved over natural elevation for the most part, with the obvious exception of places like COTA. And Miami, from what I understand, is essentially a parking lot road course, so it's not going to have too much character to it. What makes a track like, say, Palm Beach unique, even though, it's down in Florida, you would think it's pretty flat, but it's essentially in a swamp area, so areas of it kind of subside and move around. It's a very wetland area, so it still gives the track a lot of character as well. So I think it's just ideology differences mainly that would keep NASCAR out of there, and the fact that they have a perfectly fine 1.5-mile oval really, really close to the Formula One circuit. Question number 2 from Chance 2 Electric Boogaloo 2. Is GMS Racing looking to re-welcome Grant Enfinger into its program? I don't think that a deal like that is going to happen. I've heard a lot of rumors about it, but I don't think ThorSport's going to let Grant Enfinger get away, considering that he just won them another regular season championship. GMS Racing would obviously love to have Grant Enfinger, especially with all the rumors of Sheldon Creed moving on next season, even knowing that Sheldon might just move up to their Cup program. At the very least, they want a strong Truck Series driver. Whether or not they could get Grant Enfinger, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure that ThorSport is going to try their hardest at securing Enfinger in the 98 truck next season. And I will at least say this, if they don't get Enfinger in the 98 truck next year, they're making a very large mistake, because he's done quite a bit for him this year. 2 victories, regular season championship, a win at Daytona Beach. Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed not to want to pick him up next season, unless Enfinger just goes out on his own and decides to sign with GMS because he believes it's a better deal. That could potentially happen, but I don't exactly see it happening. I think the GMS driver search for a Truck Series competitor is ongoing. Now, question number 3 from RFJ. Will Brandon Brown ever go Cup racing for his own team, maybe part-time next season, with his own team or another team? Brandon Brown's been showing off quite a bit this season with his family-owned Xfinity Series program. I don't think he's going to go up to Cup with his own team necessarily, unless this next-gen car really does drop prices as much as been estimated, because there have been theories that the next-gen car could be cheaper than an Xfinity car. And if that really is true, then what's the point of fielding an Xfinity car? I mean, when you think about it, because the way the Cup Series is set up, you can qualify in as long as you're one of the fastest 40 to 43, depending on racetrack capacity. So if the Cup Series is cheaper to run in, it makes perfect sense to try and put in your efforts towards a Cup Series program. So if this next-gen car is as cheap as we believe it may be, Brandon Brown likely could try and start at least a part-time program in the Cup Series. If it stays the same cost as it is now with all the engineering expenses and that sort of thing, the things that just pile on cash for almost no reason, things are, you got to admit, a little bit overpriced for what they are. I would say that Brandon Brown will probably stay in the Xfinity Series in that regard. He's been searching for sponsorship. He's been getting it because of good performances, but I don't know if the sponsorship is able to sustain a modern-day Cup Series program. Now, a few years down the road, Like I've been saying, if next-gen car is cheap, absolutely. But we'll have to get the cost down to see a true family-owned story like Brandon Brown going to Cup, because I'm pretty sure that he would be taking notes from Ryan Sieg's attempt to become a Cup owner last season, which did not work out so well. Now, he is credited for winning the Southern 500 as a car owner with Myatt Snyder, but that car was 100% prepared by RCR. So none of the work that team put in went into the 93 car that won the Southern 500. So still, they didn't exactly run up front with their own built equipment. So I think that might scare away certain teams such as Brandon Brown and Jeremy Clements and names like that from trying to do the Cup Series for the next year or two, unless if this next-gen car is in fact cheap, as some estimations have put it. Now, an interesting question is, with another team, that is a possibility, because when a driver shows off with a family-owned team, you have to imagine what they could do with a lot of funding. If they got with one of the big mega giant, teams such as Hendrick or Gibbs, something like that, and got a bunch of money thrown at them, that would be a very, very good situation for a driver such as Brandon Brown, and they could take some of that money and bring the success of that to their Xfinity Series team with their family. Much like what, say, a driver like Joe Nemechek did, drove for Sabco and Hendrick and names like that, Andy Petrie, and put a lot of that money back into Nemco Motorsports. So you could see a deal like that go down with Brandon Brown if he does get signed to a different team, potentially one with a lot of money going into it, which I think would be a smart decision. He's a really good race car driver, but at the same time, family teams have a lot of chemistry, so you need that too. But I still think it would be a smart decision for a large team to try and get Brandon Brown. I'd say over the next few years he might at least get a couple opportunities, much like what we've seen out of Ross Chastain over the last few years, with just getting a couple opportunities with big name equipment and really proving yourself to the world can really make all the difference in a driver's career. And now the final question from Switchblade: is NASCAR looking at installing lights at Talladega next season for a potential night race? This has been talked about a lot, especially with all the marketing. It could, you could call it Talladega Nights if you wanted. But yeah, it's been rumored, and there is some potential talk of it happening. Can't quite confirm anything yet, because it'd be such an undertaking for the racetrack to try and do it. It is 2.66 miles, but it would be smart, certainly, to do it at a track like Talladega. You factor in the fact that, the races are 500 miles and they start in the evening, first of all. But second of all, we have stage cautions now, which extend the race. Third of all, we get so many wrecks that cleanup takes a while. All that pushes you well into the evening. We've had certain Talladega races end with the sun setting behind the grandstands. It gets so late. So I think that it would be a smart decision at Talladega Superspeedway to install lights, much like how I've been preaching for it at Pocono, because that racetrack gets rained out all the time. It's a former spinach patch. You grow spinach in areas where it rains all the time, if you don't know. So in a way, it wasn't a good decision to build the track there. Open property, but it rains constantly. Should have maybe built a road course. But still, I digress. Talladega Superspeedway would be a smart decision to try and put lights up there. The cost would be high, but they've spent a lot of money on renovations as of late. And if you really want to, send the point home that you want to renovate this place and make it probably the most packed racetrack in NASCAR, especially, if you guarantee that you could get races in more frequently if you installed lights, guarantee the full distance, I'd say it'd be a smart decision. That track sells out every year 2 races. So I think that they could afford it, at least in the next few years, at Talladega Superspeedway, because the sport's gaining back a lot of its interest, too. So you could sell out more of the camper sites and stuff at Talladega. I think if we get a little bit more interest in the sport, the track sees the necessity of it, we could certainly see night racing at Talladega within at least the next few years. Maybe not next year, but the next couple of seasons. And so, folks, that does it for episode number 23 of Post Tech. We hope that you have enjoyed it. The next time you'll be seeing us, we'll be covering the full round of 16 in the NASCAR Cup Series. The races at Darlington, Rockingham, and Bristol in the NASCAR Cup Series as we begin the 10-race quest to determine a champion, all culminating at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. So we hope that you've enjoyed today's telecast of Post Tech, but we are sure that you're going to enjoy the next 3 races of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. We got a lot of controversy coming into this, with arguments between drivers such as Burton, Ankrum, Jones, Stenhouse, and Elliott. A lot of factors, not to mention the battle for the championship, which is all going to begin at Darlington Raceway for the Southern 500. Not to mention, you got some of the underdogs to watch out for, such as Michael McDowell and Josh Bilicki. How far can they make it into the playoffs with their Cinderella season so far? So get ready for playoff action next time out on Post Tech, starting at Darlington and concluding at Bristol with episode number 24.